Welcome back to week 3 of the ESA Cup. We're going to be going over the Group C matches today. I'm Pooble, and I'm joined by a returning face. Arya joins me on the desk here.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been here, and we back here are quite late notice, but we're here nonetheless, and we have some amazing matchups here for us tonight, people, don't we? So, do you want to start and run us through our first one, and we can get along then, and hopefully get into this matchup?
Yeah, first up, MDF versus Avenger by Legacy Gaming, and this is a very important matchup because if we see our sort of group graphic here, if we can just get to that, this is actually going to be the battle for, I would imagine, battle for first place here. These are both 2-0 teams, and sure, there's other matches to be played, but I think whoever wins this is likely going to top that group, get that first seed, and that's going to help them a lot going into playoffs. Because I'm not too sure, but I'd imagine there is some kind of we're going to Swiss, of course. We're going to a Swiss stage, which they will be put up against a lower seeded team because that's how the Swiss system works. And then if they do well in that, they'll get a more sort of nicer seed in playoffs. So it is kind of a very important match, despite only being halfway through the groups.
Yeah, this kind of early stage in the groups, you want to try to get as high into it as possible. You want to make that workload a lot lighter coming into the end of the season, where you're going to be placing for your seeding, and you just want to make life as easy as possible. There's no point making things harder than they need to be. So this is definitely going to be one of the more important matchups we need to kind of keep an eye on here tonight.
Yep, and I mean, well, we can't really play this match without a map to go along with it. So if we just head onto that map bands, we can see where we're going to be, well, where this action is going to be taking place, and a little bit of sneak peek. Yep, Oregon. So sorry, Arya, first cast back, and you're stuck in Oregon jail. It's a map that a lot of people, I'd imagine, are quite sick of. I still think it's fine. It's just a very basic map, though, isn't it? Just bread and butter. Everyone should know how to play it.
Yeah, it's just one of those maps that we've seen in the comp scene for so long. It's not, it's never left. It hasn't been taken out. It's a kind of rinse and repeat map. Everyone does the same things over and over again. It's just one of those maps. It's called Borgen for a reason, people. We don't like seeing Oregon. It's Get rid of it. Give us something new. Give us something fresh. But nonetheless, this is what we're going to tonight, and this is where these two teams will battle it out. And I think we should be starting our game soon enough. I think.
Well, in the meantime, I believe we have a community vote to go over. So we should sort of see who hit. Oh, okay, him for production. We don't have a community vote. Uh, well, that just adds to the tension, I guess. These are two very sort of dominant teams going into this. MDF have pulled off two upsets now on quite established teams, and Avenger have almost kind of caught me off guard here. I think they very much were living in MDF's shadow despite actually topping this group now because MDF actually beat Entropy, the two-time champions, and I'm just hearing now from production, apparently 100% of you voted for MDF, so a lot of confidence for that new roster here.
Yeah, this new roster, they've came into ESA. They're what we saw with Minions last season. They're kind of showing that, the underdog kind of tones, and they're just really triumphing the top of the tables. And honestly, this is going to be a very interesting matchup here, as it's two really good teams, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses. But it's definitely going to be kind of a bloodbath here in Oregon, as Oregon, not one of the more strat kind of heavy maps. It's all going to be kind of down to those gunfights and just kind of playing your cards right and just running the defaults.
Yeah, it really is just about those default strats, about the gun skill. Nothing more you can really add there. I guess if you want to just look historically, neither MDF beat MVG on Oregon last week, so already that's sort of a chip on their shoulder on this map. I don't believe Legacy actually did win their first map, 7-2 against Frequency UK. So both these teams going in on a 1-0 record, I believe, this season coming into Oregon. So it really should be even ground here for a very good matchup.
100%, 100%. And that's always what I like to see here. If it's a boring matchup, it's no good. It's no good for the viewers, no good for the teams. So coming in here with a nice little spicy matchup on Morgan, going to be a very, very fun one. I'd like to see this kind of maybe on maybe a chalet where it's a little more, takes a little more strategy, a little more to go into it. But still, Oregon nonetheless.
Yeah, I hope we see some good siege here. These two teams have been very good throughout this season, certainly catching a lot of us by surprise. Just all we can really ask for here is just an entertaining matchup, and we will get into this matchup very soon. We've just waiting for player confirmation, I believe. So we're gonna get into very soon. I believe we have all 10 players in the lobby. It's just a case of them being ready to play. So don't wait around too long. We will get onto this matchup. I don't think a break will be needed. We'll just waffle on a bit longer.
Yeah, we are known for being the best wafflers here on ESA, so we have to provide the viewers with what they came here for. And unfortunately, they're going to be stuck looking at our mugs for another, just a minute or two. But then we will get into the beautiful game of Siege, and see these two teams battling. And as we say that, Pooble, I'm hearing the noise of this matchup starting.
Yep.
And let's roll into the beautiful map of Oregon.
Yep, it will be, as we've been banging on about, it's Oregon. Very sort of known quantity here in this map. The bans, I'd imagine, should be fairly standard. Likely going to be seeing a Nook off the board. Solace as well are just two very problematic operators here that a lot of teams in the ESA like to get rid of. And as I say that, Nook taken out, very effective operator at just being a nuisance, really. You're quiet, you can evade cameras, you have those nades as well for vertical play if it comes to it, for something like that kid's site of just attacking upstairs. So she's kind of almost like an army of one here on Oregon. She can do a lot of the different pushes for the different sites. The second attacking ban is where we might see something a little less standard here, with Nook being taken off the board. And it will in fact be Thatcher, who kind of has actually evaded the ban list a lot recently, because there's almost more threatening things on the attacking lineup you can be banning out. But kind of blast from the past here. Thatcher taken off the board. It's going to be a little bit harder getting walls open, getting rid of certain utility. So a little bit interesting there, but that still paves the way for things like Flores, even like an OSA maybe for certain strategies, attacking upstairs in the basement. And Wamai taken off the board as well, just to add that extra bit of defense, get rid of that extra bit of defense, should I say. That's likely going to make sort of attacking the basement a lot easier, because actually Ying is on the board here, Arya.
Yeah, leaving the Ying on the board is an operator that some teams find it really comfortable to play into the Ying, and when the Ying is played in that comfortable setting, she is a force to be reckoned with. You see the push, especially going into the basement, go dropping through the electrical hatch down into sight. The Ying plays can work extremely well. But one thing I kind of want to just kind of loop back a little bit on is, we saw this after Ryan come out, which, it's kind of stuff from we've seen a few years ago before all the Impact EMPs came out and all, Flores, OSA, etc. But, you're leaving a Flores on the board. That basement in elbow is going to be a nightmare to attack, as, you have the Flores on. It's going to be a nightmare to defend, I should say. You have the Flores is there. You can take out these army barricades if it's broad. You can take out the ADSs if they're broad. There's so much utility to ride out the Flores.
Yeah, but strange enough, going into this round, we don't see either of those operators here on this basement attack. There's no Flores, no Ying. It's all incredibly standard here. You've got that Jackal, which is sort of a mainstay for console Siege, where it's something I haven't really seen much on PC, but it very much is finding a use here. It's just really good for clearing out the roams. It can kind of put pressure on the defense as well. Yana being 6-picked into a Yana there by Wonka, so yeah, nothing really changing here. The Hibana in exchange for the Ace, just to get hatches open, I'd imagine. Ace can only really break open one of those hatches, so that was slightly helped with the attack. But no Ying, no Flores is going to make this quite an interesting attack here, because it does very much focus on that quick roam player, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the quick roam player, kind of getting the map control, just getting your foot into the map very quickly. And, as you see, they're already looking at cams, they already have now an idea of the direction the attack is wanting to take. And, as you mentioned, that Nomad and the Jackal's being brought. So, you're taking that map control and you're sealing it off. You're not allowing the defenders to kind of regain any of that positioning. Well, that's going to be your intent, not to let them regain. But as I see, that Wonker's already gained up control through Garage, and they pretty much have lobby. There's no real roamers here contesting them, Google. It's been free real estate.
Yeah. It's a 5-man sort of bunker down on the bunker site, so it's very much relying on the attack not reading into that. But unfortunately, it very much seems like the attackers here have actually just fully been clued in on the fact that everyone is on site. There's nothing really suggesting a long roam clear here. The Jackal certainly isn't, on the top floor. I think all the way down the laundry stairs. They've read into this perfectly, and that gives them so much time here to formulate and execute, to just poke and prod, try and get a pick early on, and then just sort of snowball from there on.
Yeah, so the main thing they're going to be looking at is just trying to find out, a bit more crack in the armor, penetrate their way through into the site. And as soon as it's an opening being made here, the pressure's going to come down. It's going to open into freezer, and it's going to be anyway with that as the whistle, and that's going to be her bonnet taken down. Hatches have been opened. Like, has been at least somewhat utilized. They're waiting shots. That's I'd say that one story skills come in. I've seen just find one past that, and it's all about minutes 20 on the clock in a 5 versus 2 situation here, Google. A lot of time.
Yeah, so much blood being spilt there, really, and it was such a very quick roam clear because, well, there wasn't a roam, but they haven't been able to convert that into an execute at all. As I said, it's Wonka and Barra in this 2 versus 5, staring down a mirror window. Wonka eating a lot of damage. Meanwhile, the Jackal of Barra is still up above, just trying to peek through hatches, I'd imagine. It's really a case of trying to get anything out of this round, but Wonka just can't even get that. There's nothing for him, nothing for the side of MVG here. What was such a good and fast start?
Yeah, it was such a really fast start. It looked like it was going to be an aggressive start. But I'll say that those starters, he's going to find the head of Barra's shoulders. And that's a flawless round here. And then for the defense, round 1 start, it looked extremely strong. And they don't seem phased. You know, the bunker strat, we were saying, you know, the attackers were given so much time out so early on. It kind of almost played in a disadvantage. They had too much time, essentially. You know, oh, we have this much map control. What do we do with it? Where do we push? You know, there's too many options, too many ideas flowing around. And it just really kind of threw them off guard. Normally, you know, we say Siege is a very time-based game. You know, time is of the essence. A minute in Siege is an hour in real life, essentially. So, giving a team nearly 2 minutes to have your full roam clear done, it just kind of threw them everything that they had kind of planned, any strats they wanted to do. Everything kind of was just out of sync, and it really felt it.
Yeah, and I think sort of the important part of that is it was a very statement win for MDF there, not dropping a single body. When you do those sort of total holds, you tend to trade, you tend to sort of play very close, but they were just winning their gunfight. They had a lot of confidence there, and that could be a real scary thing for MVG here. With MDF, they're now defending upstairs. There's likely not going to be a 5-man hold there. There is going to be a roam game, so that does actually allow the Jackal to find some use as well as the Nomad. So potentially, if MDF actually play into that more default style, MVG could find more success. But MDF have been a very good team here, and it's still a very strong site. We're seeing that Melusi being brought by Just, so that's kind of an unusual pick here. Melusi, she does have the ability to slow down attackers, but she herself is now very slow. She had her health and speed values sort of adjusted a bit as Tadas here. Gets very aggressive on the bedroom door, but it seems like MVP might have just avoided it ahead. Goes through his crosshairs, but no real damage dealt to the side of the attackers. 7 in quite
just kind of escaping away with his health, only losing maybe 4 or 5 HP. Not, you know, not a detrimental amount. But as you can see, map control is being taken again very quickly. There's not presence. It looks like, you know, the defense doesn't really want to put out that roam game. You know, they're not losing the bodies early on, which is a very key factor in your defenses. If you're losing bodies early on, you're losing. C4 is also going to fly, not going to quite land anyone. But the first body coming drop to 7 is also going to find one onto Just, and that's the first attacking pick here now, and the first opening frag going in the attacker's favour. Things are starting to look a little bit better here, though. Still.
Yeah, good start by Legacy there as Veriox gets into a gunfight of his own on Zulu. You know, getting that opening pick is so huge for an attack like this because it puts you just immediately in that advantage. And that advantage is quickly clawed away by Veriox, but not for long. Wonka responds, Aina responds again. It's a 3 versus 3. Seems like whatever Legacy do to try and get an advantage, MDF are there to just stop it in its tracks. It's a real good, great effort from them, always responding to these attacks as now the defenders are, I would hazard a guess and say they're actually more in the advantage here. You have Barra below, he can play vertical, but Aina's in a critical position on that pit with the smoke. He could shut down an entire element of that attack if he just plays that gunfight well. He will be against Holy Whistle on the Nomad. An operator that hasn't really found much usage here due to just the play style of MDF, but, well, he's going to have to force a fight here on pit. Missed shots as, well, he just swings back, doesn't want to give his life away, doesn't want another trade to go that way. Instead, Aina picks one up, 3 versus 2. Defense thoroughly favored now.
Defense thoroughly favored. The flank comes out there from Tatters, finds the back of the Warden, or finds the back of the Barra, 1 versus 3 situation, tries to fire some shots up through the floorboards, not going to quite land any, as he's after taking quite a lot of damage. All left down 1 versus 3. Some floorbine's going to come out, take another little bit of damage, but no one can quite land those shots, unlike Verox, finds the final shots and takes it down, and the defense takes another round, and not as convincing as round number 1, but still, it looked, you know, the rounds never kind of left the defense's favour. They always kind of had some sort of a grasp on the whole, you know, they had it kind of held by the throat there for a lot of moments, and then they kind of never let it slip, and then in the end, it looked like the momentum just kind of favoured them.
Yeah, it very much looked like a round that favored Legacy there with that opening pick, but it really just showed good fortitude from MDF. They got that response, you know. It's really sort of almost encouraging that they win that round, even though it was a lot more close, because it shows that they can still win from the back foot. It shows that even if they drop a life early on, they can still go on and win that round. So now they're going to be on this tertiary site, meeting in kitchen. We're likely going to see an upstairs extension here. Frost brings a lot of utility with that shotgun, with Frost, with those welcome mats, which still you can't actually pick yourselves up from these yet. That change hasn't got in, so that is a sort of thrown it down until you're picked up by a teammate. Aina as well, though, is the real sort of crux of this defense. The castle blocks off a lot of lines of sight, gives the defense a lot of freedom with that upstairs roam, with that sort of extension on the ground floor. Very critical operator here, and it's going to waste a lot of time, but the attack, they still have how it needs to deal with that. They have the Flores specifically, which I don't believe we still haven't seen picked, despite making it through that ban phase. The Sledge as well can also deal with them, but albeit from a much closer range, there's a lot more risk there, but Barra seems to be quite happy to take that challenge.
Yeah, seems quite happy. And one thing I'd like to kind of move back onto, we're kind of seeing it's utility, you know, this defense quite a lot of utility. I just don't seem to be dealing with the utility. You know, nothing wrong. But are we actually going to see a little bit of it? Right, rush here? That must super early on. Again, you know, we're looking at 2:35 on the clock, and Tokyo's already pretty much outside the door. You know, giving him a little knock, giving him a little phone call, letting him know that he's there. And they're still in the middle of setup while the attackers are pretty much just outside side Uber. What is happening here?
So they're just getting bailed out by that castle barricade, really. As you said, Wonka was knocking on the door of the kitchen there, right outside sight, but he just can't get through it, and he doesn't really want to risk that position, I wouldn't imagine. So the castle barricade, just a single piece of utility that tears him. Tatters doesn't have the same luxury, though, taken down by Holy Whistle on that Nomad, finally finding a kill on the board. Not found much success with that operator previously, but we still got a contest with Aina here on that castle, who's had a fantastic start, 3-0 for the castle here. So still a big fight to get that map control upstairs to dislodge that room, because these defenders are likely going to play for their life.
Yeah, as we said, the bar is also going to fall, and that is going to be your Sledge. You're losing the 7-8. And that top floor control is still pretty much in the damage bank here. There's another member's going to fall. Trade to one back and forth. Ferox finds one, and Siege just also going to find one for Stealth 7. And now we're going to be left in a 3 versus 2 situation. Still ample amount of time here on the clock, and a lot of work still left to be done here though for the attackers, as these castle barricades are now going to get out, and the kitchen access should be granted very, very quickly. The wall is not fully open. They cannot get through that kitchen wall. You know, the Selmas must have been shot off that. And the angle is being held. Things are just not looking good here for the attack. Though, Gold is going to find one on to Chris, as Walker's going to find one back in a trade. And this is all very dire here for the attack. As we said, that defense takes round number 3. And again, quite comfortable. There's no rounds here that the attack has run away with. Everything kind of seems to be here in the control of Legacy.
Yeah, another good start for Legacy there, but the thing I really picked up on in that round was they were always going for 1 versus 1 gunfights. They had the man advantage, but they never chose to take a 2 versus 1, really. Not until the very end, when the final 2 attackers linked up in that in the dining room. But you'd have to think, if they were playing for trades sort of more focused like that, they would potentially find greater success. They are quite comfortable getting the opening pick. If you can keep that trade game rolling, you will eventually win. But Legacy, they were just more concerned with doing 1v1 gunfights, and they really paid for it in that round. Once again, it just slipped away from them. They can't rely on the very sort of risky style of those 1 versus 1 fights. It's just not a consistent strategy that will find you a win. And they paid for it all 3 rounds. We're finally going to be seeing the Flores there on this basement site, so that again should hopefully speed up the clear of the room and the clear of the utility. But they didn't have to clear anything last time. The big thing to keep in mind, it was a 5-man hurdle. And, well, the Legacy still couldn't find a single pick on the board despite being given total map control. So now if they're going against an actual roaming setup with utility being invested elsewhere, sure, you have the Flores, but it might just still not be enough if you can't win those gunfights inside.
So at the end of the day, you have to get the side control and you have to get that diffuser down. That is a key principle. It's something that needs to be achieved. And, you know, when You see, I think the key thing that Legacy is bringing here, they're changing up so frequently. You know, if we compare round 1 to round 3, two completely different kind of styles of defense. You know, we saw one, as you mentioned, the turtle setup worked absolutely amazingly. It kind of caught the attackers off guard. Didn't really know, you know, they had too much time essentially. And now you're kind of just integrating loads of different tactics into kind of, you know, you're just changing it up so often. The attackers are just not getting the time to even adapt here. You know, everything is so different. Nothing can be rinsed and repeated here.
Mina's getting very aggressive on these freezer stairs, so they could potentially catch an attacker off guard. It's certainly something to watch out for, but I don't think anyone's going to give him that fight yet. Wonka is still now very much aware of there being a room since he keeps up that match, but he can't actually get eyes on the defender. Meanwhile, Tadders, he goes back into side after shooting, but then strangely peeks back out mid-reload, is taken down by Hollywood along those laundry stairs, and Goldiers, he's taken down as well. This more aggressive playstyle might have actually been the undoing of MDF, as now Legacy up by 2 men, still over half the round left before let's execute. They just have to not choke this fight.
As I said, though, Enya is going to land a shotgun shot there onto Chris, and that's going to be one of the attackers fall now. So the sides are starting to level up just a little bit. As you mentioned, there's still ample amount of time here, as the defenders, you know, the rumbling didn't quite exactly land all that it needed to. A lot of time has not been wasted, and you're just letting the attackers just kind of get free flow onto the site. Drones are going to go downstairs, blackfangs are going to rain though. That shotgun of Enya just causing a little issue, but he's going to just to back away from that fight, not get too aggressive. A little bit safer. Some shots are going to go across, land onto the elbows, just kind of hinder him a little. But he's just not going to get too aggressive. He's going to play his time game here as there's still a minute on the clock. Verrock's going to find one of the walkers, and we're still, you know, we're still looking down the barrel of the gun here. There's still a minute on the clock. C4s are still left in hand, and there's not really much to execute from anything.
Yeah, and once again, Legacy, they're just giving away 1 versus 1 gunfights. They've had such a strong advantage, but they aren't properly using it. You've sent Hollywood alone to challenge that freezer. 7 has just been standing at the bottom of laundry stairs that entire time. Thing to note there, no smoke grenades either, so the plant is actually going to be very difficult to achieve there. Meanwhile, I still think, yeah, all 3 defenders are below that, so there's nothing really drawing attention away from the basement, but the attack are just so afraid to actually make a move here. They've stalled out yet again. Will 7 finally gets a pick here, but with such little time, and they're going to have to be running into the shotgun of Aina and Freezer. This push could very soon be halted as Aina gets 1. It's 2 versus 2 now. Another one lining up for him, taken down. Just up to 7 now in the 1 versus 2 area. It's all gone so horribly wrong. 5 versus 3, and they still lose the round. MDF, 4 on the board.
With that shotgun holding Freezer, what an absolute key position to have held it for so long. You know, we saw the flashbangs coming down the freezer stairs, kind of pushing energy back just a tad, sending them back over to the steel boxes just a little. But he never overexposed himself. He kind of played his cards right, held back off, and just to put right swings at the right time to tuck down the Nomad. Then you had the Habana falling also, and just then leaving the Jackal at the bottom of the main stairs, just kind of fend off against a mirror window. Wasn't an ideal situation for the attackers, and it looks like everything just kind of tunnel visioned into one, and the main objective was just lost for them from pretty much the last 30 seconds. Everything kind of just faded away.
Yeah, it's just the 1v1 gunfights again. It's so inconsistent. You get 2 picks and then you instantly sacrifice them. It's just not a long-term sustainable strategy, and hopefully they've realized this, because again, they have been really good at getting those opening picks. I believe 3 out of the 4 rounds, aside from that first round, they have gotten the opening pick and they have failed to convert, which is a really just heartbreaking sort of statistic there, because you're getting off on such a good foot on that attack, but you've now given away 4 rounds to defense and MDF. So Legacy, they really need to learn from these mistakes. The half is still salvageable. 4-2 as MDF go on this top 4 site. You can still very much sort of claw back an acceptable half there. But it's going to be very, very difficult as you're going into this secondary site, and they've still just shown no signs of really learning from where their problems are. The 1v1 gunfights, they're still not adequately using that man advantage that they've gained, and eventually it just slips away from them time and time again. So if you aren't fixing that core problem, I'm afraid that no matter what you do in that early and mid round, it's just not going to work out at the end.
When you're missing that key principle, you're missing pretty much 95% of your attack. You're missing everything with essentially by losing on that. And, you know, unless they can really kind of nail that down in this round and the next, can see this split pretty much slipping away from them completely. The Toads are going to be just taking off the thermite there. He's going to be limping a little bit after that one, but he's going to get himself onto the balcony. Hopefully we'll get these breaches opened up very, very shortly. But Tartars is, we're kind of seeing an extra kind of a little bit of a heavier lurking game here though from the defenders this time. Kind of stepping away from what we've seen them do previously. They're going to kind of just not overextend. As like from what we've seen from the side of Legacy, they kind of hold off and they kind of pounce at the right moments. But as I say, that Tartars is going to take down Stealth 7, and again, that Jackal just not getting used. We've seen him brought time and time again and just never used. After that, Enya though hits the shots off the crits with that SMG-11, and another shot's going to be down there. And Tartars finds one onto the main stairs, and the flurry of kills comes out here though as Wonker's also going to fall. It has all just crumbled here for the attack. It's all left down the bar in a 1 versus 4 situation against 4 full health members.
Very much deja vu to that first round. Once MDF get that first kill, it all just sort of, all the cards fall their way. Bara left in this 1 versus 4, alone in trophy. Nothing much he can really salvage from this round, as he knows the MDF defenders are on the hunt. He sees a Mute just run out of the pit door. He's being attacked from both sides. Gets one, but Goldias takes him down. And I mean, we've been talking about how close the previous rounds were. That was not a close affair at all. MDF just thoroughly slaughtering the attacking efforts there. And it really, everything is just beginning to crumble for Legacy here.
Yeah, everything is just, it's slowly slipping away. You know, that round showed potential. You know, we saw the Thermite's toes getting a little bit peppered, not too much. And then from there onwards, it was just a flurry of kills. Tartars opened up the board and it just all broke apart. From the first pick, it just all collapsed for side Legacy. And it's sad to see because, you know, they've shown us before, they're a solid team. And it's just a map like Oregon. It's just one of those map sites. Everything comes down to just gun skill essentially on Oregon. You know, you're not really bringing out the heavy strats. You're just kind of, everyone plays it to 1v1s, or, you know, ideally you know, just kind of the buddy system involved in, where, you know, you're kind of, there's always going to be a retry kind of game in some aspect. But we haven't really seen happen too much. It's, you know, there's just such small mistakes that are being made are just costing such big ones.
Yeah, and the worst part about this all is MDF now, they're very confident in their gun skill. You saw Tadas peek out that front door at the start of the round, and then just re-peek it halfway through. He's not deterred at all by the presence of any of the latency players. And that's really scary here on Oregon, because as we said, it's very much about your gunfights, about these sort of unconventional just pushes, really. It's all about mechanical skill rather than sort of strategic ability here, because everyone sort of knows how to deal with anything almost that's been thrown at them. So it is very much in the gunfight as we go to this tertiary site. The roam clear looked to be going well for the side of Legacy when they were last here, but it all stumbled yet again when they just didn't employ that buddy system. They didn't go for 2 versus 1s. It was still just throwing lives away on that advantage. So if they can sort of imitate the success of that previous round and then go on to convert it, they can still put up a round on the board. And although that's not a great path, it's certainly better than nothing. The comeback starts with 1 round, so even getting a 5-1 here, it gives you a surprising amount of leeway compared to that 6-0. It looks like Wonka, he might just charge into this side.
Well, honestly, we could see that happen, and that could be the play that we need to see the attackers make. As you know, they seemed kind of timid in their attacks. You know, they're just kind of wanting to hold back. They're not giving it. You know, they're kind of just playing around it quickly. They're not really giving it at all. And you can see a very aggressive attack coming out here from. We could see a round conversion here. And as you mentioned, you know, going on to that 6-0, you have no room left for mistake. You're back against the wall, and that's all. But as I say, that Wonker is going to get one onto Seajust, and that's how the man count opened up here, and that's going to be the opening kill again, once again for the attackers. It hasn't really bowled as well when they have got the opening pick, so hopefully this time we can see a little bit of thing where they can actually take on this round and, you know, face it head on, take a victory, bring us to the 6-1 and extend it further. So at least we're going to go back. That's just going to fall down 7 goals and take the damage there in the process. As the attackers, or the defenders, I should say, are just going to kind of bunker down upstairs and just make sure that this attack will not go up as they prepare.
And it was the exact worst case scenario there. Wonka, he's left alone after getting that first pick, and he's just traded out. There's no one to help there, no one to get another trade for the side of Legacy. And just like that, we're back at even man count, where MDF have thrived very narrowly peeking by that double window, then gets another up the white stairs. So now you've gone from bad to worse, a 2-man advantage now for the side of MDF. This the final attack for the side of Legacy seems to be just falling at the seams. It's all up to Holy Whistle now, and yet again in a 1 versus 4. But no, he's in exact position as Aina gets a little bit aggressive from behind that shield. Holy Whistle actually gets a second there. It is doable still for this Diana here in Attic. Arios and Gordius are not on max HP, but still quite healthy. It's all going to be up to these gunfights. And all the defenders, they've separated themselves for a time being. Holy Whistle could isolate some 1v1s here and make it an incredibly doable clutch, but he still has to get past the gun skill of MDF, which has been just on a complete different level this entire map.
Beats and stuff, and you get 10 seconds on the clock. He's forced to run to a hatch drop here, and it's all going to be left down. 1 versus 2, it is doable, but with this amount of left on the time, the round is not looking the best here as the Frost one kept some shots, and it looks like a drop. And Frost takes the round, and that's a flawless set of defense coming out here. As we are going into just a quick tech pause as one of the players has disconnected, so we're just going to give them a little bit of time here to rejoin Pooble, and I think that was going to segue us perfect here into kind of just breaking down what we have just witnessed. We've just seen a 6-0 flawless set on Oregon. How are we feeling about that one?
I'm honestly just frustrated because Legacy, they never learn from the mistakes that sort of hit them in those rounds. We went on and on about the man advantage and how, you know, Legacy were very good at getting the opening pick, but they just could not convert it at all. There was no kind of movement of the players when one of them did get that opening pick kill. There was nothing to sort of facilitate any of those pushes. Wonka, he gets the opening and is just left alone for the rest of that round. There's players nearby, but they just aren't going to help him at all, and eventually he just loses the gunfight, taken down, and everything else crumbles from there. The attacks were just not really good at all there. It's just a bit sad because MDF weren't doing anything sort of drastically different. Their gun skill was superior, but also they were almost just doing the same thing, and Legacy could never really sort of deal with it.
Yeah, Legacy just seem to be kind of, you know, they're good, as we've mentioned before. We're not going to take down either of these teams. They're both very solid teams. You know, they've both shown that they deserve to be here and they deserve to be playing. But it's just when players have off days, and it just seems like the team chemistry just isn't there today. You know, they're just seeming so lost, so kind of out of touch essentially with what's going on. They don't seem that they're, Legacy. They just don't seem they're not playing the same game. They're kind of all, they're playing. One's playing Subway Surfers and the other playing Siege. Everyone's kind of just doing their own thing at this point. It's all so out of touch. We're not seeing the coordinated Siege that we typically would see from the team.
It's almost like 5 individuals against one team. MDF, they're all in sync. Whenever they go for one thing, there's always players helping them out to achieve whatever their aim is there. Even when it is down to those like 1 versus 4s, they swing together just to secure that kill. Whereas Legacy were very much just out doing their own thing. One person on one side of the map, one on the other. It was all very spread out. There was no real sort of cohesive pushes coming out from them. And eventually, despite those early advantages, MDF were just happy to take the gunfights, and they were just confident with their gun skill. And on Oregon, that's a really dangerous thing to be against because it is just so default. It is so just focused on those gunfights. It's really where Siege's sort of FPS nature is at its most emphasized because of just the whole nature of the map.
Yeah, and when coming into this, any team that's watching this now knows MDF is not a team you want to bring to Oregon. Oregon is one of those kind of best of 1 maps that we typically do see. It's not something that a lot of teams will bring out in the best of 5s typically anymore, or even in best of 3s. So it's one of your best of 1 maps, kind of on the same par, kind of with Bank. Bank and Oregon kind of play kind of similar to this kind of just more gun skill heavy attacks and defenses. But it's just this game has just gone so differently than what anyone could have expected. I don't think if you had asked me people coming into the start of this game, would we be seeing a flawless set of defenses coming out? I don't think I could have told you we would have seen that.
No, it's certainly taken us sort of by shock here. 6-0 for MDF. 1 more round potentially left in this match, but just to keep you on the edge of your seat, we are going to a slight pause here, just getting the final player back in the lobby. So we'll see you very, very shortly. Yep, very quick break there as we are back in round 7, potentially the last round, and as if things couldn't get any worse for Legacy, 5th player unfortunately just is not joining back, so it's a 4 versus 5 on this defense to mount the comeback. If that's even on the table anymore, really, this could potentially really be the final round here, Aria, if Legacy just sort of aren't fully in it after that just dominant half from MDF.
They came out with a score. Like, there's no point beating around the bush. They came out with. You can't expect anything better. So on your defenses, expect the best running better than that. And 100%, the mental is going to be taken down a notch here off side Legacy. They've lost other players. They're in a 4 versus 5 now. You know, you're on match point 6-0 down. Everything, all the cards are against them at this point in time. Bumpy, I'm not gonna land. Well, it was doesn't tease us with a little spawn peak there. Not going to land anything though, as the attackers not really want to get into loose crosshairs. Don't think we're going to see an over aggressive round. I don't think they're going to overextend themselves that much. They're going to try to play this a little more safe. You know, yes, it's still a 4 versus 5, but you don't want to lose. You know, as soon as you level that up to 4 versus 4, that becomes a lot more winnable.
Yeah, the main big thing here, though, for the defense is they just can't spread themselves out. They can't assume all positions, and it likely means they're going to just completely forego defending that ground floor, which opens up just to those nades from below, but he doesn't even need them. He just takes off Seven's head with that LNE 5, and suddenly things go from even worse to just complete nightmare scenario here for Legacy. 3 versus 5 now. 6-0 for MDF, potentially getting that 7, potentially the first flawless match of this season. I haven't fully checked that, but either way, Goldiers takes on another 5 versus 2. It's just up to Chris and Barra alone in sight, really. As we finally see that Ying round 7, blinding out the player and kids. That's Barra taking down Chris as well, and a 7-0 for MDF.
That's got to be destroying. It's got to be soul destroying here for Inside Legacy. You know, just getting they got slaughtered. Let's be. There's no point putting it off. They got slaughtered. You know, there's just so many little mistakes made that led to this defeat. But we've also got to give the side of MDF. They played that absolutely amazingly. You know, they knew the game they were playing. Everyone was coordinated. Everyone was stacked, and they all just, you know, they never kind of broke the poker face. They gave it all their all, and at the end of the day, they just walked away with a 7-0 that didn't seem the most difficult for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to focus on. MDF always just seemed very composed there. It always seemed like the match was going in their favor, was going in their direction. And the result really reflects that. 7-0. That's going to do wonders for their round differential and likely lock them into that first place seed now because, well, despite what you may think, these were the 2 top teams of Group C. MDF has been on a sort of just insane run through the start of this group stage, taking down Entropy, the former champions, taking down MVG as well. And now they take down their only sort of competitor to that crown in Team Legacy. It's just a fantastic start, and it will. I'd imagine they're probably not mathematically confirmed for the Swiss stage, but logically you'd say they are quite safe now that they will get onto that next stage of play and will likely get in there with a very high seed in this group.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, especially with a 7-0 now, you have that extra bit of round count to your advantage, which is always, you know, something that you kind of like to keep in the positives as best as possible. And taking a 7-0, there's no real better way you can do that. That's an extra, basically a free 7 rounds onto your round count. So it kind of works for them in every sort of favor here. And, you know, that match was just a storm. It was just a flurry. And, you know, it feels like it was a very long match, but it was also just gone in a breeze. It was quick and fast at the very same time.
Yeah, it was just an incredibly swift pace there being set. I mean, it's 7-0, so you can't expect an absolute bomb run. It was just incredibly fast there. I don't think it was half an hour in length because MDF were just shutting them down constantly. It was a fantastic job from them. But luckily for all of you, that wasn't the only match of the day. We've got 2 more, so we're just going to throw to a slight break. We'll get back to you with match 2. Welcome back to our second map of the night. It's going to be between Team Frequency and Tracker Clan. So this is going to be kind of a different matchup from the first one. We were saying that the first one was kind of the sort of battle for first. Unfortunately, these teams, this is kind of the battle for last.
Yeah, it's we're pretty much seeing the pole opposite. Will we see a pole opposite of not getting a 6-0 defense on Oregon? Hopefully, we don't see such a sweep as we did see there on that last matchup. That was something to say the least, but we're going to have to move on from that one. We'll go into a new game here, and hopefully we get to see a little bit more of a competitive siege than what we saw last time, and hopefully we'll actually have quite a decently long matchup instead of just a quick breeze by, as it sounds like we will hop into this prediction quickly, Pooble, if you just want to run us through that, and then we will load into the lobby.
Yeah, well, it seems like the community are just overwhelmingly in favor of, if we can get that, is the graphic going to appear? I've heard, similar to the first one, it's 96% in favor of Tracker Clan, I believe. So the community very much, in favor of Tracker Clan here. But enough stalling. We're going to get to the match right now because we're a little bit pressed for time in this pre-match segment. We're seeing Clubhouse being played here. Jackal ban immediately start off, so that's going to give the defense a little bit more freedom in their roams. It should ideally help with the sort of pace of the clears, slow down the pace of the clears even, which would, kind of, you'd think benefit the defense there, not having to have that very sort of oppressive gadget just constantly revealing their position at all times. It would allow for the defenders to sort of have an easier time going around the building, and the Nook ban as well will just allow defenders a little bit more security, really. It means they can't exactly be caught off guard by Nook. Obviously, she can hide from cameras. She's a little bit more quiet when her ability is active. So these are two kind of comfort bans, I'd almost say, for the defense.
Jackal, he will, the roam clear is made a lot more difficult when Jackal is there. And again, the Nook is just one of those really, really sneaky operators that, she can just kind of weave herself in around and just avoid all cameras at all costs. It's just something that, you don't want to have have caution there of having to keep an eye out for the Nook. As we've seen rounds one from the Nook being able to sneak through the gaps in the defenses and just take down the off team. So taking her out is definitely going to be a comfort pick. We're also going to see the Solus taken out here as well, which on PC she's actually becoming quite a common ban. Haven't really seen too much of her on console all that much. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen with the Solus being removed. And then we're going to head back to the Year 4 bans by taking the Valkyrie out of things, which a Valkyrie ban, I don't think any of us can complain about. No one's going to be even surprised to see that ban, as the Valk is just such a good operator for that, bringing that amount of intel. Taking her out, it's an obvious pick, Google.
Yeah, and the thing I always like to sort of point out with Clubhouse is it's one of those maps where there's a lot of just little objects, little props on the walls, on the ceilings, which makes it so easy to hide those vault cameras. And it can be just an absolute pain trying to figure out where they are and deal with them. So just banning her out, it's fairly common on Club, as is Solus, really. I would say Azami, Solus, and Valk, those three, you'll likely see at least one of them banned. Because they're just so incredibly strong, they're very sort of versatile, they can do a lot of different jobs, but just incredibly strong operators there. We're actually going to be seeing CC challenge first for the defense. Sort of an uncommon pick here. Most teams tend to favour the basement, so it's interesting that the side of the frequency have just opted to go here straight away. Actually, this could get off to a good start. It would allow them to play one of those stronger sites later on, but it could also give the attack a nice bit of pace early on. So this is almost kind of a critical round here, that first round off, because this is just an unusual site. So obviously, you're going to have Aki on that bandit trying to just delay the breach from being opened. It's likely not going to stay closed that entire round, but any sort of time you can bleed off the top of the attack here is going to be very valuable for the bandit.
Yeah, and something that we don't see typically very often is the bandit trick. And since bandit got that changed a couple seasons ago where you can place multiple bandit batteries on any wall, that will be made a lot easier. We're not going to see the Maverick being brought here either, which is kind of a strange one for attacking Clubhouse. Maverick is generally one of those kind of staple operators that, regardless if you have a Maverick on the board, you will be getting that wall open. So not bringing the Maverick is quite an interesting play, but this, they're going to have something around that, if they're not bringing it. They're going to not bring it by choice. So it'll be interesting to see what they have. But as we say that, construction control is already gained here, though, as the Ash has already got herself already deep up here into construction. As I say that, she gets into sight.
Why are you sprinting?
And that's just an unfortunate play, as the Ash sprints into sight, loses life very early on. And Ruben, you seem a little frustrated by that one. Do you want to explain to us?
Well, as this breach is going off, Tydash had an incredibly strong position there. If he just had his gun up, he could have just destroyed that defense completely, at least taken out key operators like that Azami, like that bandit. But he just sprints in, gun down, and it doesn't matter how many angles you have to watch. If your gun isn't even up, you're not going to win any of those fights. So I understand he maybe wants to reposition, get in a more aggressive angle to completely catch him off guard. But sprinting there really it would cost him his life, to put it simply. It really just completely cost the life of that one sort of inlet into sight, and Xenox nearly has his life taken out. His legs just peeking out across from that wall. He actually crawls out, is taken down by Young, and suddenly Tracker Clan are actually on the front foot here. The breach being open has been a big nuisance. It's cut off the defenders from rotating here, and now it's actually all of the shadow of those red stairs. He's taken down. It was a round that looked to be going, quite well to the side of Tracker Clan there. They had that early sort of entry with the Ash, but then she couldn't actually get a kill. She sprinted in, immediately forfeit that opening pick, but the sort of pressure from almost every angle did allow them to actually stem that bleeding and get that man advantage and ultimately win the round.
It was an absolutely amazing, well-played round. With some little mistakes there of an Ash rushing into sight, sprinting into guns blazing, but we'll skip past that one. But overall, the execute that came down to sight, pinching off the angles, and as we saw in that last couple of seconds, it was just the attackers playing defense, and the defense had to try and do a retake, which just wasn't possible in that situation. Although the Azami barriers were used against them, and just everything just fell apart. Going up to CCTV first, we did mention, was a little bit of an interesting choice, as it would be considered now the secondary, scene as with all the new operators that we have. Basement is typically more favoured for the defense, and it's typically what you'd bring for your first objective. But still, changing things up always can be a nice mix. Unfortunately, this time it didn't exactly result in probably the round win that they expected it to. But it's always nice for them to, experiment around, get a feel of how this game might play, and, they can work that for their next defense, which we've seen here on the basement, which is their typical setup.
And the interesting thing here with this basement setup is we're actually seeing 6 of those observation blocking gadgets being brought. And that's pretty interesting because these are gadgets that maybe don't find the most use. They're the newest sort of addition to that secondary gadget list. They can block drones from seeing through, but not actual humans. And I think it very much complements this site because basement, inherently in its nature, is one of those sites where there's a lot of prep. There's a lot of drone work throughout the round, and you only really actually end up taking those gunfights within the last 40 seconds. So by stalling out and preventing the drone from getting all that information, I think it could work very well here because it will just massively stall out that drone work, and that sort of lack of information could potentially come back and really bite the attack when it comes down to dropping those matches to taking those gunfights. So this could be an opportunity for those secondary gadgets to really shine, but Tracker Clan, they were very, very strong with their gunfights, at least in that first round, and there wasn't really much drone work going on there, so they could actually just not really make much of an impact at all if Tracker can sort of space check effectively.
If at all, any roam game come out here from the defense, they're looking to try and play it all cautiously. I'll say that some shots are going to land into the Jaeger of Shadow. Not going to be enough to take him down though, as the nade is going to fall down and the pressure is going to take him off blue. He might get a fall out here as the Playday is going to get some pressure pushed on, and no one's got anything to do with stalemate here. No one looking to try and take these gunfights too aggressively, as everyone's just kind of back and forth, and just trading shots. And no one has lost their life yet. It's only a minute 30 on the clock as the pressure is going to come out here from the third area. And everyone just kind of seems all in the stalemate here. There's no one really taking gunfights, but I would say that the Playday is actually going to lose his life, and a beautiful there from Fender going to take down Shadow, and that's going to be your Jaeger fall and put us on a 4 versus 4. We're still over in the clock.
Yeah, Nitro Cell remaining in pocket for the defense could potentially disrupt that plant. Xenox, he gets caught with those vertical angles, and now the attacking team once again in the front, in the driver's seat. 2 versus 4 now, 2 versus 3 as Aki tries his best to even out the man count, but to no avail. Warsilly takes him down. It's all to Bokuto trapped in the tunnel with a 1 versus 3 position potentially known. It sure is now. Gunfight goes a little bit straight for both sides. Bokuto, he'll actually end up picking up Warsilly, still now a 1 versus 2. Super Young takes him down. Another good attack there from Tracker Clan.
Tracker seem to be so coordinated, so pinpoint accurate. Like, this is, their defense or their attack so far, they're looking extremely strong. They don't seem phased by any setup that the defense is bringing them, and they're a scary looking team at the minute. And if they can keep this carrying on, I can see them taking a very nice 4-2 split, maybe even a 5-1, considering how things are going so far.
Yeah, I do sort of appreciate the idea there behind that defense, using the blockers and just using that to sort of waste as much time. As you said, there wasn't any roam, so you really just had to waste the time of droning the actual site, or else you're just going to be against an attacking team that is thoroughly prepared for that site take. So we are going to be seeing these observation blockers again, but I would sort of hazard a guess that maybe we are seeing a little bit more of a roam game here. Xenox is on the cap can, which will at least sort of slow down, cause a little bit of stress, put a bit of pressure on the attack elsewhere in the map. The alibi as well, not picked as much nowadays due to just nerfs to do with the shield being gone. With not as much of a sort of dynamic operator who can only pick for certain strategies, like this observation blocker strategy we're seeing here. But Wrath can still very much roam on that operator, still has a very good gun for the job, so I would assume we are going to be seeing a sort of more extended hold almost, just to sit on the attack, because when it came down to the execute last round, there was still over a minute left. Tracker Clan had plenty of time to drone things out, to take their fights, and it ultimately worked out really well. They won that round quite confidently, so a change of sort of pace is needed here for the side of frequency.
It's always great to see, we've played two rounds so far, and they all went heavily favoured in Tracker's side, but now the defense has kind of adapted. They're kind of twisting up their defense just a little, just hopefully it'll be enough to kind of carried over to a round win. But even these little changes, like we're seeing the Alabama, the Jaeger, the heavy roam as a shot that's going to come out. That gunfight not unfortunately won, as Fender Tracker is going to take down the Jaeger, but he's also going to leave himself on quite a health disadvantage there after that gunfight. I don't think they're aware of the alibi of Wraith here, who is just kind of lurking around biting the jacuzzi walls. And if the drones don't spot out this alibi, this could be an absolute crucial. But the drones are going to get that intel, and that is going to be taken down. A lot of wallbang potentially you saw there, Booble, as those drones are just absolutely showing their dominance. As this is a well-oiled machine. The drones are there. Observation blockers don't seem to be in the right places to kill them these drones. And we're still a minute 50 on the clock in a 3 versus 5.
It's just clinical from Tracker Clan there. The drone work, excellent. Following up so quickly as well. The mistake we see time and time again from teams is there's too big a time discrepancy between actually seeing a roamer, seeing a player off site, and dealing with them. But Tracker Clan, they do not repeat that mistake at all. They have been incredible with that roamer. Mostly though, anyone who's made that mistake himself, as Xenox just offers himself up. So despite the kind of late response to the drone work, the defenders now, because of that harsh man disadvantage, they feel they have to make a play, and they just end up peeking into the guns of Tracker Clan. Worsley gets another, and once again, Aria, it's another 1vx. Frequency just can't seem to get a hold of a round at all as Worsley, he puts Aki out of his misery, and that's 3 in a row for the side of Tracker Clan.
I think surgical, the word you mentioned, is such an accurate representation of what we're seeing. Those drones going through a jacuzzi, finding out the alibi, taking the alibi down with absolute ease. There was no contention whatsoever there. It was just, they just seem to be breezing through. They're a well-oiled machine, as we've mentioned before. There doesn't seem to be anything that can stop them at this minute, and unless we see some absolute major changes coming out here from the defense, it's slowly slipping away from them. And this, losing, a 4-2 split is kind of typically what we do see on Clubhouse. That's always from, it's generally what we would see. But if that, we're pretty much approaching that 4-2 marker at this point, and it's not looking good here for the defense, people.
Yeah, and they're not even attempting gym bedroom here, which I think personally is at least a secondary side. It's actually gotten quite strong recently. They're still going back to CC for this fourth defense, and this is quite critical because, as you said, if they lose this, they have now definitively lost that half, given 4 rounds to the attack. I'm honestly getting a bit of deja vu here. That previous match had a very similar start of just total dominance from one side, and well, that ended up being a 7-0. I'm hoping Frequency can make this ball competitive there, but there's I believe the exact same roster as that first round here. There's no operator changes, so it's really whether Frequency can sort of win these gunfights almost, because despite getting the opening pick onto Tiger, she's on the IQ, not the Ash this time. Frequency just completely they suffered in every other gunfight really in that round. It was a very one-sided affair after the opening pick. So they're really going to have to work on that and just work on their mid-round almost.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of adjustments need to be made here, as you know, the main thing that the side of Frequency are dealing with and they're kind of struggling to handle is just the precision and drone game that the side of Tracker Clan are bringing. You know, we have to give them credit. The drones are there. They're in the point where they need to be, and they're there on time. There's no one that's kind of, you know, we saw the very first round where they actually kind of just walked into sight sprinting. But that was kind of just probably a mixed lapse of judgment. That's pretty much all we can throw that down to. But everything else, pretty much every other kill, bar, you know, when it's in the 1vx's, has all been done with people that are just being droned in and getting the point with accurate information. But when we say that though, it's going to be the Jaeger finding one onto the IQ. That's going to be the IQ fall once more again on the attacking side. And the health is not looking the greatest here for the defenders. I think taking quite a lot of damage. That wall is not going to get tricked, and that is full control of construction here now, but still a minute 30 on the clock. We have an insane amount of time, and just no one is really looking to get too aggressive here.
Yeah, but the thing to notice there is all of Fergu's ace charges are gone. They tried to use one on the soft wall that was shut out as Worsley finally evens out this mana pattern. Attacking utility has actually suffered quite a lot in this round, as of their lives. Fergu's taken down, but Worsley, he's really putting the team on his back in this round. Gets a second from this window. Give Barry just to stall him, and a great kill from Yuck just threw this bundle of money, I think, on the table, but Raph, he instantly responds. It's a proper just blow for blow round here as Raph gets very aggressive on that CC window. Exgon and Worsley now in this 2 versus 2. As I say that, poor Worsley loses life. Exgon 2 and Frequency, they put it round on the board there.
And what a lot better round that we saw, you know, they absolutely drained the attacker's utility, as you mentioned. The attacker's utility was gone so low that it kind of panicked the state of, you know, Tracker into they had no other options. They had to make some sort of a move and a play, and with that much time on the clock, they didn't have many options. So it's a well executed round. Still a few little tweaks probably the defense could do to make, but everything is not in dire straits now, as we're not going to see a 6-0 split here for them anyway. That's the main thing to see.
Yeah, and I mean, as we were saying in that first map, one round can make a lot of difference come that half stop. So even if this is 5-1, that is just leaps and bounds better than the 6-0 that Legacy were facing down on that Oregon match. So still very doable Frequency. They can still claw back a 3-3 half there as they're finally going to that gym at their bedroom site. But personally, I think the second strongest site on the map. They've got the mirror likely for that bathroom vault. More observation blockers being brought here, so Frequency, they're clearly seeing something here. It's had, honestly, not the greatest success rate, but it's certainly interesting to see that utility being brought. Again, I'd imagine its aim is to just stall out that clear, make the drones have to just do a lot more work to get their intel. It's going to be blocking off half the door there, so immediately that forces the drones to get a lot closer to defenders. That allows them to shoot it. So this is just designed to bleed away attacking utility. But once again, it kind of seems like the attackers are so close to those drones when they're doing those clears that this whole strategy might just completely fall apart, as they might just not only be met by a drone, but also, you know, one of those 3-speed attackers just running behind it.
Yeah, and you know, the map control, we're already in, you know, we're not even that deep into around 15-20 seconds into the round, and some of the garage controls have already been gained. Next, the main kind of key kingpin that we want to see taken down is going to be construction and CCTV. And unfortunate there, as a player's going to get downed and a player going to fall, and a player's also going to disconnect. So we're in a 3 versus 5 situation here with still 2:20 on the clock. And a beautiful made there from below from the sledge, and that's going to absolutely rip down the mute. Actually, I should say it's the Cade, and that with a beautiful headshot there onto Fendu. And this game is just going everywhere this round. This round has provided some amazing moments, to say the least, as you know, the control is still in the favor of the defense at the minute. That mirror is down on the ground, and chances for getting picked up now at this point is very, very slim, as Wraith's going to take an absolutely huge amount of damage there from that wall getting opened, as that nade is actually going to finish off that mirror as the push pushes through. You're not going to find one, and all going now left Aki in this 1 versus 3 situation. SMG 11 in hand, which still ample amount of time here on the clock, and the attackers, they don't have that much work left to do, as they are pretty much knocking on the doors of sight here. Aki, he's going to have his work cut out here to take these down. Very, very winnable situation though, as one of the members is on a low amount of HP, but time just isn't on his side at this very minute.
There is a saving grace for Aki here. The castle barricade does funnel the attacker through construction and through that vault rotate, so it is very much doable. It would have been even more so if you managed to land that kill in Hexagon, but the shot's a whiff, and Hexagon gets that response, taking down Aki and a 4th on the board there for the side of Tracker Clan. So despite that slight blip on the previous round, they've once again managed to come into good form as we just get in a slight break here just to get that 10th man back in the lobby. But that round there, despite that the disconnect, it was still a very good clear. You know, the vertical nades were unchallenged. There was no bar player really opposing that. It was all just very easy for the attackers. That's something we saw the side of Frequency defending the ground floor on CC, but it was just nowhere to be found on that side. And I'd argue it's even more important, you know, defending logistics, making sure there isn't any safety for the nades to be thrown there, because it was just easy as walking into kitchen and killing 2 members in logistics there. It was incredibly simple for Tracker Clan there, and they really didn't have to invest much at all to get in just insane amounts of value.
Exactly, you know, as you mentioned, like, you know, that you just walked into kitchen and get those 3 kills. You're able to toss 2 nades up, as you know, the Mira and it was the Cade, if I do recall correctly, that were taken down with those nades from below. And they were, you know, you're basically allowed to chuck a little bit of utility, gain the high reward with 0 risk. And if you're allowing an attacking team to do that, that is just going to be just a recipe for disaster. You're allowing easy picks to be taken off the board. You're already down in the man advantage count by having a player DC, and then you're just giving the free reign of nades below. You know, especially with holding logistics being one of those kingpin areas to hold off the map. You know, if they take logistics control, you can take full construction, and then you can rotate your way around through the door and then to take the main site. So you're not really wanting to give logistics up too easily, and when you're kind of letting them take it that easy, the round is going to just fall apart from the get-go.
Yeah, and honestly, another thing with those defenses I've noticed is the observation blockers. They just aren't finding much value. We saw the one on Cash Door, didn't really stop any drones at all. They just ended up blowing up the wall. They also had cleared red. There was nothing stopping the drones from going on red. They immediately just cleared out these positions, and it made that roam clear very, very fast. I just think a sort of change in strategies in order, maybe go for something like those proximity alarms, maybe if you just want to catch where that aggression is coming from, or bulletproof cameras if you want concrete intel. But luckily for the side of Frequency, they're going to have a little bit more time to think about that, because we're just going to do a short break before we get this 10th player back in. There's some slight internet problems, I think. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. And we're back. Round 6 now, rounding off this half potential for Frequency to get that second round on the board, but Tracker have still just looked unstoppable in their attacks. We're going back to Jim Bedford. It's like that, well, just didn't find Frequency much success at all last time, and we're redoing it now, but, well, I just think, you know, Tracker just looked so good this match, Harry. I don't think this slight variation is going to do much.
Slight variation. It mightn't make a whole lot of difference, but one thing we've got to really point out is just this pinpoint accuracy that Tracker are being put on. And another thing to take, you know, you see the Solus band, and we're kind of questioning to see where that would lead us to. And I'm pretty sure we've just found our answer to why that Solus was taken out off the board. You know, the drone game is so precise from Tracker. If you have that Solus on the board, for one, you're going to be giving away your kind of the area you kind of want to get your main kind of state into the round. And you're also just going to be losing the drones a lot more frequently than what we have been seeing happening. So taking that Solus has just shown to why it's such a major operator that they want to take off the board. And as we saw there, you know, the observation blockers are being brought. Everyone was able to get that intel. They're able to get that door open. And they know the positionings of the defenders. These observation blockers are just not enough here for the defense.
Yeah, Warsaw has that drone behind them, so there is live or active intel going onto those defenders there, so it surely is only a matter of time before there's a vertical kill or just a free fire to take him out. Warsaw will be cooking that nade. It's just going to be cooked to burn out that ADS, but with nothing to actually capitalize on that, it's a bit of weighted utility. You'd really rather go for that vertical. There's a breach on the top red wall, and all the angles eventually sum of all the angles to take out Sanox there, and that's well, a very short-lived man advantage is Shadow. He does get one back on the third. back on this 4 versus 4, but the attack do have a lot of map control on that eastern side.
They have a lot of map control here, Pooble, but that mirror window still in logistics is going to be a thorn in the side here for the attackers, as that mirror does not seem to want to leave that area at all. As you know, the Gemini clones are going to come in, they're going to be aware, they are fully aware of this position that mirror is on, and unless they can get this vertical, and you know, if there are any nades, we have no nades left on board either. There's no nades. This mirror is in a very safe situation here. Let's say that Warath is going to find one on to the Grim, and that's going to be the V-Man taken down for just a little bit as well. We're not going to see him get used, as you know, Grim is not really brought that often into the comp games. Hasn't really seen his footing at all, even after all those little buffs, just haven't been quite enough. Still, we're in a 3 versus 4, and the defense is actually looking positive this time. You know, they seem to be doing quite well, but that mirror is going to get pushed back now if that window has been broken. But she's just going to lurk there, actually, in the corner, Pooble. This could be dangerous here for this Playday.
Yeah, if they don't read into this properly, and I think they just want to ignore her entirely and move towards the bedroom. Never mind. Young with that skeleton key gets one, and Borsely gets another. Suddenly, Frequency are on the back foot. Aki and Bokuto in this 2 versus 3. They still have these good positions. Top main especially could be a real stinging point for the attack, but that man advantage towards the favor of Tracker Clan is just so powerful. I just don't see a scenario where they can really win this.
Yeah, this is going to be...
Clean Feed has died. The players are still playing, of course, but fortunately, we cannot see it.
Unfortunately, so Pooble, I think we're going to have to do a bit of make-believe here, and we can experiment what's going to happen here. As we are actually back,
I see an attacking wind.
We see an attacking wind, and it looks like Tracker have this brought us to a 5-1 split, which I don't think we were surprised. I think we kind of said this back at round 2, if they kind of kept the same momentum and kind of kept the same game going, that this is kind of where we would land. You know, if you're the side of Frequency, you're not going to be too happy with, you know, that kind of split, but you're not at a 6-0 downfall. The pressure is not fully set on you yet. You still have a little bit of wiggle room to make a mistake or two, but once it comes down to the match point, that is it. Everyone, there's no mistakes can be made from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, just on that last round, the Grim pick certainly put me off guard, and I don't particularly think there was any real strategy there, because he was just on that balcony position shooting through windows. I thought potentially it was to deal with mirror windows, because if you are in that B radius, you do get an actual real-time thing when you can see when the mirror is moving out, maybe. But he wasn't used there, and well, despite that death, you know, Tracker Clan, they still won that round. They've shown incredible performance throughout all stages of the round. You know, their late round there was very good, clutching up that man advantage, getting that win, and now onto the defense, the sort of more favoured side here. It's going to be, honestly, it's just quite a simple map, I would imagine, unless they make some crucial mistakes here, or unless Frequency really step up. They're on this gym bedroom site, so we're still not seeing basement first, but Tagash, he's going for a spawn peek, narrowly misses and just taps the shoulder of Xenox there, but he's still going for it. He's still aggressive. He wants blood aria, and well, in Frequency don't expect this. Having said Tagash, he just moves away, but elsewhere it's Fergu. It was all a false flag. Fergu runs on the opposite side of the map, takes out Shadow, one of your hard breach down, and that leaves Frequency in a real dire situation now.
Yeah, and Tracker are just looking at, they're hitting their shots where they need to be. You know, Tracker are declaring blood to the blood gods, and that is exactly what we're seeing, as some more shots are going to get landed here to the attackers. Not enough, just enough to kind of, you know, just make them limp just a little bit, but not enough to take them down, as the attack looks like it's going to get stalled out a little bit here, as you've lost one of your hard breaches. Still have the Thermite, who is still an amazing hard breacher nonetheless, and open up that wall in a much bigger and better way in some senses, you know, than the Ace can. But still, you're going to limit yourself. As we say that though, Baku is going to find one off further. That's going to be the Wamai taken out. And hopefully the Wamai didn't have that much utility left, as if that is the case, that's just a little bit of a disadvantage there for the Tracker. But surely they have something planned here, as there's just a bit of a mismatch here, as it's going to have to find them one again on to the Mozzie. And now we're going to find ourselves in a 4 versus 3. I'm still ample amount of time here on the clock, Google.
Interesting here, Wrath is going for these gunfights despite having one of those exothermic charges in pocket, and well, Jacuzzi can't be opened here unless it's through a hard breach, a secondary hard breach charge. That's only a crawl, that's only a crouch or a bolt hole, so that leaves you very exposed. You'd likely want one of those thermite charges on the wall, but Wrath, he's just choosing to assist this clear. Another thing to note, that Ace being dead, not really deal with enemies walking distance, so he's going to actually have to walk all the way up, expend flashbangs for safety just to breach this logistics wall, and all that just slows down the pace of the attack. So despite Tracker Clan being in that man disadvantage, they've got plenty of just sort of stall here. The meat jammer as well just further slows down as Exco finally picks up one, but Wrath, that thermite, actually gets another, so still the attack in the favor, but Warsilly hiding behind the computer monitor takes out Wrath, and that's case control, but he overpeaks 2 versus 1 now, 1 versus 1 for XCOM. You know, Aki has this diffuser, but XCOM is in such a strong position here. He has total site control. He has likely got goo needles on entry points just to give him a little bit of intel. And Aki, he's really got a big job ahead of him. He has to probably get here unnoticed. Shots ring out, and Hexagon knows where he is. Aki is poisoned now, has to take that needle out as another replaces it in that doorway. So now it's a rotate for Aki, trying to catch Hexagon off guard, but it's been read into perfectly by the Legion. Thatcher's footsteps loud as ever, heard by Hexagon, and Aki is taken down. And well, that puts Tracker Clan 6-1 up.
The pressure has now been placed onto the side of Frequency, as we are now on match point. Tracker looking a little bit wavy that last round. We have to admit they didn't look as comfortable as they have been on their attacks. And Frequency kind of coming back a little bit stronger. Of course, losing that hard breach so early on was a hindrance nonetheless. You know, if they had that second hard breacher, that round might have gone different. They might have got, you know, the pace of the round could have been a little faster, could have got a little more aggressive in places. But overall, it was just a flurry of kills came down to in the end. It was all just based on gun skill and kind of just map positioning. And overall, Tracker just kind of won it out, basically due to the amount of time they wasted and just slowing down that overall pace that Side Frequency was trying to bring.
Yeah, and it all rolls back to that ace pick, right? Because if you still have that ace up, you have that range hard breach, you have that sort of secondary hard breach. Obviously, Buck had the actual, literally named secondary hard breach charges, but these ace holes are a lot easier to get through. They provide a lot more of an opening, so that's just a much more preferred route for the attackers, but they can't use that because Wrath was taken off the board immediately. So we're going to be seeing Basement here, and Warsilly, he's had a great game so far, and I think the ego might have caught up to him. He's on the cab, and even worse, he's just hiding in kitchen behind some sinks there. Potentially to catch the attack off guard, but at the same time, he could also just be giving his life away for free. As he's going for a run out spawn peak. No attackers are seen, and he just slinks back into the building. Warsilly, though, maintains the position in kitchen, and this could be spicy.
This could be very spicy, as now they're going to be aware of Young where he was positioned. They're not going to be aware of Warsilly there either. So they're going to go try taking the kitchen and potentially could get life taken out of their own zone. Not going to find the cab. And Tracker is going to just get himself a few shots off. Not going to quite land onto anyone. As we are in a 5 versus 4, Atfengu has fallen down already. But still, I kind of want to keep close attention on this cab, as we have seen drones come through kitchen. I've not seen the cab as of now. They're aware of the Goyo and everyone on the roam, but they're not aware of the little sneaky cav that is just chilling here in the corner. Can we get to see an interrogation, do you reckon, Pooble? Do you think that's
I don't think interrogation. I think we could certainly get a kill, but interrogation would be wild here. As well, despite all this, Frequency is still at advantage, but Tracker Clan are not deterred. They're continually running out. Nade comes up top. Nade actually makes direct contact with Young and takes him down, and here comes the cav in freezer. The trap is sprung and the Yana is taken out, but an immediate refrag from Bucket on that rappel, and Frequency actually doing quite well in this round.
Frequency looking very strong. That nade taking them the Mozzie was quite unfortunate, as it gave him a little pet kiss on the face as it came through that window. But we're going to see Xenos take one out to Exxon, and now we're going to be in a 4 versus 1. This is the first round comfortably that we've seen the Side of Frequency have full kind of control over the round, and a pre-fire from Shadow is going to take down the guy who is just trying to rat in a little corner, trying to be that vermin on the map clubhouse, and that is a round gone pretty comfortably, we can say, for the Side of Frequency here, and this matchup could start to change from here, Pooble.
I'd love to believe that, right? But I think Tracker Clan were getting a little bit overconfident there. There were 4 members not only off-site, but also running out and spawn peeking. So honestly, you know, good job for Frequency. They identified that just massive over-aggression, and they dealt with it well. They won that round quite convincingly. But you can't rely on Tracker Clan continually just feeding themselves to your guns. And as they go to CC and Cash, this operator lineup certainly sort of seems like they're going to be playing much more conventionally. Obviously, you have the Azami. She doesn't get all her gadgets immediately, so Exgon is likely going to stay alive. You've also got the smoke, so you'll likely be waiting until the end of the round as well, just to use all those canisters. This very much screams that, okay, we're no longer playing Dragon Clan, they just want to finish this. Now 7-2, they've had their fun for a round. They've sort of broken up the pace, I guess, by just messing around a bit with their opponent, but now they mean business. They want to look this up quickly, get that nice round differential, +5 if they win this, and just finish the match.
Yeah, they want to close it off. You know, they had the fun. You mentioned the toy with the food. You know, they've had to kind of poke the bear a little bit, just kind of experiment around with things and see how it goes. But we're not going to see the cat plays anymore, unfortunately. No interrogations versus free map. So that's one thing off the cards. And we're still going to see Spawn Peaks, so as the guy is looking, still wanting to kind of get a bit aggressive here, as also Young is going to try to get aggressive here as well. And some shots are going to be fired across. No one's going to make any contact whatsoever. As a spray comes in here, the defender might have guarded the shots off the boy just a little. As I don't think the Thermite is too aware, as he's going to swing, and a headshot will be found on this Shadow, and that's going to be a hard reach for him. The more shots are going to be done onto Habana as well, but not quite enough to take her down either. And that's just almost losing your 2 hard breachers within the first 30 seconds of a round. That could have ended up in dire situations here for the side of...
Yeah, and Tracker Clan, they're still getting aggressive. Young now holding a very long angle on the window, suffers for it from Boku. But we still have the Goyo of Tiger staying there in blue. He's now moved to lounge. There's still a lot of map control sort of being contested by Tracker Clan. They're very aggressive, wussily, just peeking out of the breach, seeing who's there, trying to welcome his guest with open arms. He's met with no one, so there's no blood actually shed at all in that engagement. But Tigers, he's so aggressive. He's now in lounge, just waiting for the attackers to drop. Tracker Clan, I thought they were going to play a lot more laid back here. I was very much wrong. They are still just as aggressive as that previous round.
The aggression has, it looks like the dial has been turned up to 100 and it has broken off as they are just one to be fully aggressive here. Baku is going to find one on as well. And we're in a 4 versus 2 situation, 7 minutes 30 on the clock. There's a man-to-man time here, and Tracker are looking dazed as Baku's going to find another one off Hexagon. And this game is slowly slipping away from Tracker as, you know, they had their fun, but now they can't recall from it. As a player, is also going to be in a Frostmat there as well. Frostmat showing their high utility. If this was test server, he could have got out of it, but unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. And a double kill comes in here for Fengu, as another one could tend to be found here, and tries to put shots onto the raft, but not going to quite able to land those shots, as the attack is now going to kind of recoup itself and get itself back onto the breach. I don't think he's going to be too aware of this rotate that's happening, as that garage has now been evacuated. Knows the player's on breach. Can he find the shot? Lands across. Not going to quite find anyone as a player. Finds it. Boom! And I shot onto Aki. And it's all left into a 1 versus 1 situation. Match point. The game is on the line. Not there through the breach. That breach is not even open that much fully. All the pressure is on here now on to Baku, who has had an amazing round so far. Has pulled this round back for the attackers. And that breach isn't even open. He can't go through that.
You can't get through
this is dire. 30 seconds on the clock. This is
the Goyo!
The smoke.
Oh!
What a play! That Goyo
fantastic!
Shooting him in the back. What a round!
Just sort of fantastic play there from Fergu, nearly bringing back that 1 versus 4, but then Baku identifying the Goyo canister. He knows that Fergu isn't going to want to peek that, because obviously he can't get in. There's no point trying to risk a fight there, because at the end of the day, the Ash would have to rotate around. But then they notice the Goyo canister, and that's the one thing they need to flush out that of the defender. There's no breaching charges. There's no... Ash might even have anything like frag grenades, so you have to rely on that defender utility. It was great, just heat of the moment decision making there from Baku there. It's just fantastic. But still, you kind of have that pressing issue of Tracker Clan are getting just quite frankly way too aggressive in these rounds. They're peaking things that don't need to be peaked. They aren't just content with a man advantage. They always have to try and double down on it, and it's ended up in trades. It's ended up with them actually suffering quite heavily, just way outside of the site. So I would really like Tracker Clan to just sort of rein in a bit. You know, you don't have to take every fight. You don't have to kill the entire enemy team within the first 30 seconds. Just getting one hit. Hell, you didn't even need to pick anyone on that roam. If you waste time and utility, you can still win the round, just like they did in that first defense that got them onto the match point. You know, it's still very much doable without getting so aggressive. I just think they're acting almost as if they've already won the map.
Yeah, the ego has kind of extended over where it needed to land. We're not seeing Swamp Peaks this round, which is a good sign. It means they've kind of dialed themselves back. I hope, but there's still quite a heavy extension coming out here. There's the Legions down in Oil Pit, and the Fenrir is lurking over by Garage side. There's quite a heavy extension still, which could work absolutely amazingly if the drone game is slightly off here from this side of frequency. But surely, if your frequency after the last couple of rounds you've had, you have the mental here. You kind of pull it back as Wrath's going to fall, as that is going to be the Fenrir finding one kill, just kind of lurking around the place. And this game is going somewhere from White Pool. That Legion down in Oil Pit, as Hexagon is going to find one of his own onto Aki. And this round actually might be looking in Tracker's favour now for a change, as they kind of dialed themselves back in. They've reeled it back, and they kind of seem to have kind of tampered the aggression.
We say that Hexagon, though, he's using that punch hole, trying to get an angle outside Jacuzzi. He could lose his life here, but instead Warsully takes down Bokuto. Fergu is traded, but it's still a heavy favour for the side of Tracker Clan. There's no real map control for either of the two attackers. Shadows on the roof, Xenox coming in through that storage door. We've got defenders in CC, defenders in sight, in Cash. Shadow nearly takes down the CC player, but there's just so many different angles they have to check, and there's just no real safe ground for them anymore. Tracker Clan, that aggression, I guess, finally worked out, and they had more than enough rounds to just keep trying to be aggressive, because eventually it's going to work. It's nothing sort of sustainable, but when you need to win one round, you can eventually sort of tag on getting that one-round win, and now Xenox is taken down on red stairs. Tigus just plays with his food almost on the down player. Shadow left alone in Garage in a 1 versus 4, and Tigus locks it down. Tracker Clan, they win the battle of the bottom teams of the group quite just convincingly, really, and that's going to do wonders for their campaign here in this season.
Yeah, it's going to be the little kind of edge they need heading into the next games, and they're after getting like 4 rounds or so of their round differential as well, which again, that's a major thing. Teams don't really look at it that heavy, but it's a major factor. Kind of when things come down to the line, that round differential is what is going to be brought into key factor. And if you can work on that at the start of the season, get that as high as you can. Of course, you want to win your games as well, which is the main thing here. But as long as you can keep that round differential high as well, that is the main thing you'd be looking for here, because at the end of the day, it could all come down to a single round. And, in those situations, it would be absolutely heartbreaking.
I mean, I believe in one of the groups, Group D, we have 4 teams tied on 3 points. So that kind of shows how tight some of these groups are, how evenly distributed the points are. So rounds actually do matter when it comes to sort of qualifying. And even if it's not necessarily qualification on the point on the line, you still want that higher seed at the end of the day going into the Swiss stage, because you'll be put against lower ranked teams. It will be, in theory, a sort of easier fight for you. So these rounds do matter, and at least sort of frequency, if you want to sort of find a silver lining, at very least they managed to put some rounds on the board there.
Yeah, and Tracker were playing extremely convincing Siege, to say the least. It was, a lot of those attack rounds were quite just landslides. Mistakes were made, but one thing to take away is you need to just kind of work a little more on to hamper those drones. Tracker, the drones were pinpoint. They were surgical drones, essentially. They did everything they needed to do when they needed to, and as they were asked of. We can't really expect much more from Tracker. They performed amazingly, to say the least.
Yep, Tracker Clan win that second map 7-3. We'll be back after a short break for the third and final map of the day, so don't go anywhere.
Right, we're back again for our final matchup here of the night. What an absolute cracker of a matchup we have got here for ourselves here tonight, Pooble. We're going to see Entropy versus Germany MVG for our final matchup. This is going to be a game that's going to definitely have a lot for us here. The last 2 games, a little bit underwhelming to say the least in certain areas, but these 2 teams, Entropy, a very well-known team, same with MVG Germany, also a very high respected team as well. This is going to be an absolute belter of a match.
Yeah, and I think this is really where we're going to be continuing the sort of narrative of Entropy and their sort of group stage performances. Historically, they've been very good in playoffs. Obviously, they're the two-time champions of previous ESA Cup seasons, but their group stages have usually had a little bit of a. They've been a bit wobbly, let's say, and that started immediately this season. They lost to MDF in that 8-6 match, and there's nothing to sort of be too disappointed about. Obviously, you're the champions, but MDF have proven to be an incredibly dominant force. They went on to win against Tracker Frequency, even fairly sort of dominantly 7-2, but this is their sort of next real hurdle. MVG Germany is a strong team. They're, as you said, quite well respected. They placed decently well last season, and they're another sort of well-known name in the scene. So this is by far probably the biggest matchup of the day we've got.
Oh, 100%. This is going to be kind of the key match to watch on. As you know, we had map number 1, which was for the top of the standings, map 2, bottom of the standings, and this is just two titans battling it out for just who will be the better team going into this. But it sounds like we are just about ready here to head into the map, Pooble. Who's ready for some chalet?
Well, it's better than Oregon. I think a lot of people don't like Oregon, and we had our first share of it today. But Chalet, nice to see 3 different maps in a day. We get to see, hopefully, 3 different styles of Siege. I'm just hoping this is a lot more even than the previous matchups we've had.
Yeah, going all things considered, I can see this matchup being quite close, to say the least. As you know, again, as I've mentioned, these are the 2 Titan teams. They're quite high up in the standings themselves, and they're all very well respected players and teams. I can't see this being a clean sweep to either direction. This is probably going to be one of the closest matchups we'll have for a while, in my opinion.
Yep, heading into this ban phase, the first attacker being taken off the board here, it's going to be that Ying. So immediately, that kind of lessens the... It puts a lot more focus on the early round, I think, because Ying can kind of be used as a bit of a cop-out to sort of plaster over poor roam clears that take a lot of time, because you can just flood the site with those Candelas, blind a lot of defenders, and take a very sort of advantageous gunfights that will get you an ingress into the site. Obviously, without Ying on the board, you can't do that. Particularly, I'm thinking that's going to make attacking basement a little bit more difficult. Nook as well being taken off the board as well. I think potentially we've seen her banned all 3 times today. Very strong operator. Just the ability to be undetected by cameras, to be more quiet. It just leads to a lot of almost ratty plays, walking up staircases where the defense isn't watching, could potentially even get away with a couple of free kills there. So a lot of teams just don't like dealing with the knock.
It's one of those operators that you can sneak through sight, but just ease. You know, the cameras won't be seen, and especially another thing, if you're bringing an alibi, which we have seen on occasion, you can shoot through those alibis with your Nook gadget active, and you don't get pinged. So, you know, if you make a small mistake by thinking that Prism is a real person, you can kind of get away with it scot-free. But we're also going to see the 2 1.5s taken off. So this is going to be, you know, the crutch operators essentially have been taken out off the board now. As you know, we are in a meta where the 1.5 is key, and 1.5 rules everything, essentially. So taking out the Warden and the Mozzie, I think, is just going to be 2 frag operators that have just been taken off the board. Some players might struggle with that, a bit of a crutch being taken out from under them, but that'll be yet to be seen. I don't really see there being any kind of deeper strategy than just removing 1.5s off the table for those 2 operator picks. What would you be kind of thinking on that one, Pooble?
Well, I'm not sure if it was necessarily the strategy going into it, but we see Fesk there on the sense, and immediately the sense is going to become a lot more stronger, because the only defender who can see through those little light walls is that Warden. And Warden off the board, potentially we could be seeing something fast-paced. I'm thinking maybe a sense disc through that drone hole in gaming, just to cut off the connector lines of sight, maybe one onto the bar wall as well, just to facilitate a push in there. But the big sticking point of this defense is going to be that top floor. We're not seeing a capital being brought, which is what you tend to see when clearing out library to get control there. Instead, we are still seeing a Flores and a Twitch actually as well. So a lot of sort of utility denial being brought by the attack here to kind of deal with as many of those gadgets indirectly as possible. There's actually a gridlock that's being brought there. And this is a little bit confusing to me. I'd imagine she has the smokes. The track stingers as well are all right for covering your flank. They're also quite good for masking the sound of the plant, so maybe we're going to be seeing a fast push here with that gridlock just to thoroughly mask the sound. But the sense is gone as well, so actually this has become a lot more of a default lineup with that flip gridlock kind of being mixed.
Yeah, so I think it looked like Gridlock's been brought just more solely for the EMPs, more so than anything, because you have your Nomad really for flank watch. That's kind of the Nomad's main key purpose. That's all that the Nomad should really be used for. So the Gridlock could be, as you mentioned, just kind of cover up the noise of the plant, which those strike stingers, when they do go down, they make a hell of a lot of noise, and they can potentially cover the mass, of that diffuser hitting the ground and just getting set. So that could be a potential reason for the Gridlock. Other than that, really the potential of the Gridlock isn't that strong, really. The flex can be a nuisance, as we are seeing them getting used here though on the trophy stairs. And whether we'll see them be come into use, whether they'll make a difference in the round or not, that's something yet to be seen. But on this topic of the map, they're taking so much control already. A lot of utilities being burnt here. The Twitch drones actually being used to take down those bulletproof cams, which are an absolute nightmare, especially when we're playing ranked. They can just be a nightmare to deal with. But that deployable shield is still going to be there. And actually, as we say that, Shinji is going to also get taken down in a beautiful frost mat behind the piano. The little rat plays of a frost mat are going to be the demise to Liana, but still not enough to take Liana down completely. She's still going to be back up on 20 HP, and those nades are still going to be in pocket, so not all is lost here for Liana.
Yeah, just a slight off angle with those mats, as Vasi very quickly has to make his exit from the top floor, but to look at things, there are still 2 players stacked on those library stairs, so the ground has not been given away to the attack. It's still all the way down on that fireplace now, going back to bar, so it seems very much like it's a one-dimensional defense just on these library stairs. Aiming to just deal with just bring a little bit more time, potentially get a pick. This library, I believe, has actually been given up, but library stairs is still a sticking point as Yuki gets one into labor group, and suddenly 5 versus 4 is Yuki. He just has to dip away now, and that's all he really needs to do. Shichi on a sort of a late flank with the frost, but potentially be vulnerable with a shotgun out, as there is a player in fireplace, I believe. Seeing that outline, yeah, so Shishi has to be very careful here with those making lines of sight. The attack seemed to have stalled out a bit.
Yeah, as we said, that Banquez is going to find one of the Vasi, and now the man count has leveled up, but that mirror window is going to be there. And that does appear to be open as well, so that's a bit of utility taken down. That Twitch drone highly likely taking open that mirror as well. But it's going to be Pistol just kind of lurking on those fireplace stairs, just not going to really give himself away just of yet. And actually, a side drop's going to come down here as they're aware of this mirror who's playing just tight on the mirror. That's on the fire back. It's going to actually find the cross. As it looks like the ball is going to come down here to the final last bit of pressure. That diffuser is going to get set onto the ground. And it's still a 3 versus 4. Almost a 4 situation here. And that diffuser is going to get down. They're dropped. And that diffuser should be stuck on the ground here unless far play from the frost. As Frost's going to swing. And that's around here. First Shinji catches the diffuser player literally with a hair on the clock. And that is the defense taking what was almost a very ropey round.
Yeah, the cover there just not good enough for the attack. I mean, I liked how they used that barricade to their advantage, planting in a bit of an off position. It was still vulnerable to the fireplace angle, but obviously the defender had to actually punch the barricade, which gives away their position, and the covering player can easily get that pick. There was just not enough cover there on the actual kitchen corridor, though, which allowed Shinji, as you said, to just slip in, take out that planter. So narrowly a win there for the side of Entropy. It could have easily gone the way of MVG, as they look to be doing quite well clearing that site, but just the frost play at the end of the day showing that this is an objective-based game. When you boil it down, you have to play that objective. If you're sort of braining the timer down, you really need to focus on getting the diffuser down, and just good play from Shishi there, just immediately just knowing the win condition.
100%. One thing I have spotted is the Solus. The Solus has been pulled out here, and most of the floor, if not all of this floor, is all breakable, and we're seeing the Solus. This is going to be, if the Solus can stay alive, kind of roaming around the kitchen, and just kind of keep herself out of danger until the late round, this could be one of the biggest plays that we see in this round. As that Solus, we don't typically see her that often. The last game she was banned out just kind of around drones and just stop that usage of, all this heavy intel. But if Solus can be left alive, as we're seeing there now, Vasi is just going on a drone hunt, just trying to find all the intel that he can, knowing where these drones are all going to be pre-placed, and kind of giving the defense just a little bit of an idea of where the attack might be spearheading its way from.
Yeah, and the big thing as well with that Solus is, if you don't destroy the drones, you can at least see where they're coming from. You have to guess where the push is coming from. You've seen there's a lot of drone presence in that basement, which you can probably expect that there is going to be an attacking force just trying to clear out, say, the car garage and the wine cellar, just to give themselves a bit more freedom. Yuki as well in the Fenrir, so we're seeing 2 of those newer defenders being brought. Fenrir, honestly, is an operator that I still haven't really seen much success with. It still seems like defending teams are just trying a lot of different things with him, just seeing where he can operator. he's just going to be just focusing down on the site here and seeing potentially the only one actually there. If there is a wide roam game there. Vasi on the solar position, another player in bedroom. I think there's also perhaps a bit of defensive pressure or presence in the basement here. As it's actually an upstairs site, my bad. I thought it was kitchen, but it's in fact just a very wide extension as Vasi actually takes the opener and labor hook in. The butt gun here is big because that's your main source of vertical from that ground floor. Yuki just shooting open the barricade to help his teammate and almost killing Banquist. Banquist gets that one in response, but can't find two. Shishi gets the trade, and it still leaves Entropy a mana up. Task just barely misses the feet of Vasi.
Yeah, that Solus there on Thorn in the side here. I was trying to take down the Solus, but no one is biting. Shots are being fired across. Air jets are going to be launched out now, and this should kind of slow down Vasi just a little. But there's also going to be a player pushing up here. The wallbang is going to come out. The pinch is going to happen here, and Vasi is going to come under severe pressure. Azella is still on this window out, not looking to try. No one's really starting to get the pinch off here. Shinji is still down below. They need to clear out this Solus as she is in such a vulnerable position, especially that player on window repel. But a frost mat, as we hear, Redskins is going to fall into the vulnerable frost mat, as that's going to be Vasi taking out. Shinji is going to get that frag, but that player is still hold. It might be still a player above here as Pistol with the SMG-11 in hand, and Stretch is still in this frost mat. They need to get him up, get those air jabs down, as late round flanks. We're coming into the last 40 seconds. This round could go either way, as there's still players on the pedal. We're still seeing not a whole lot of map control being gained here in the favour of.
But honestly, that Frostmat could have almost been a blessing for MVG, as it forced Vasi, baiting him out to actually peek to confirm that kill, dislodging him from that position. If they actually get another pick here, it's now 2 versus 3, but MVG are on such low health. Bocho picks up one onto Zello. Shinji now Solar taken out at all of the best. But on the double repel, there's surely no way he wins this round. Not even enough time for him to collect the diffuser. So I believe he's just going to play for KD, save that life from this round, just hiding in the basement. There's nothing he can really do to win this round, and that's another one for Entropy, 2-0 on the board.
Very comfortable round again for Entropy. They didn't seem to be at too much out of pressure, and that Solus just holding the position on that trophy stairs, an absolute key point to take away from this round. That Solus being let there for so long without that much pressure. You know, we had the player on the repel on the double window repel and solar, and those player kind of pushing up from the blue, you know, from basement stairs. There was just not enough a level of pressure put onto Vasi whatsoever to get him shifted out of that stairs. You know, the Frostmat, as you mentioned, was kind of an omen for them, just to kind of bait him out a little, just to kind of get him a little over aggressive, knowing that he could take on the player that was pushing through. But overall, still, it was just it's all coming down to the final dying seconds where time is just not on their favor.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a kitchen dining defense now, as I mistook the previous round 4. And the big thing here, Yuki's going to be playing the Tachanka, and a lot of people might be thinking, okay, he's just throwing, he's given up. Despite being 2 up, he's just decided he's going to play with the enemy, yada yada. Something relating to Tachanka not being good. And, well, as jury's still out on whether or not Tachanka is actually any good, I can certainly see the reasoning here. And that being, you want that area denial, and you also want that shield as well. You see Shishi already has a shield, but potentially the strategy requires 2 deployables, and with Smoke being nerfed to not have that shield, Tachanka has kind of almost been forced up, perhaps a little bit prematurely, into that sort of role there. You see, he has a sort of less effective smoke master, I think a lot of people would say, with those Molotovs, but nevertheless, he still has that sort of all-important deployable shield, and that is really the key reason for picking him, I'd imagine. You can help out other players with better guns and better utility to hold those positions. We're going to be seeing quite an extent hold into piano here with that shield, and Maestro being picked as well is actually something that is also quite interesting. It's an upgrade we only rarely see on this site as MVG begin their assault up this garage stairs.
Going to begin from the basement as they're going to work their way up. And again, just to mention on this Tachanka pick, as you know, it's something that we don't typically see that often. Tachanka with the LMG prop purchase being brought this time, but that LMG offers so much wall destruction. It's for an LMG. You can do so much. You can also allow players not to have to swing the shotgun operators where you'd like to have, a fully automatic primary. I can also take that pressure off. And Tachanka, overall, in my opinion, he is probably one of the more underrated defenders, especially now since Smoke has got his nerf into Oblivion. It's definitely something that, we will probably start seeing a lot more. I know on PC we do see it a lot it's a lot more frequent for, you know, Chalet, to say the least. As I said, Melkon's going to fall to Yuki, and that's going to be a Flores down as well, as Pistol's also going to find one of his own on Shinji. And we're already in 3 versus, or a 3 situation. We've seen a minute 40 on the clock, Google. There's a lot of time here.
Yeah, the guns eventually really hit their mark early on in the round, and there's still a lot of map control in favor of the defense. Sure, there's sort of extended roamers have been pushed out of office, but that's sort of the whole beauty of this hold. You can still hold this from Master here. There's nothing that really, there's no ground that attackers can comfortably take. They really have to go for a gunfight here. Just take a single foot into this contested area. As we see Pistol holding these angles from Master. Banqua's outside the map on that ego back door, just trying his best to isolate a pick, but Entropy just aren't giving them anything. These Entropy defenders, they know the immense advantage at the moment. They want MVG to actually work for it as Banquas. He finds one, that's a good start, but he's walking into a crossfire trying to secure that kill. Lilo as well, pushing out through Hoppus, doesn't find one onto the Malusi of Bassi, as Boccio actually ends up taking down Banquas as well. So now it's all up on an effective 1 versus 4. The 4 or best outside on that balcony. He could try to pick up his teammate of Zello, but very risky as, well, here comes the fire. The Tachanka does actually end up securing that kill. Bassi wins an easy duel against Pistol, and that's another round for Entropy. 3-0 now.
Extremely strong. You know, it's not the same kind of pacing as we saw the last 2 games, which is always great to see. But, you know, these rounds are, even though they're quite favor of the side of Entropy at the minute, they're still quite close in regards to how the rounds are going out. It's all this was probably the only round that we haven't seen it go down to the kind of bare bones of time. It was all kind of faster paced. But the last couple of rounds, it's just really tight game, but it also doesn't feel to be at the same time. If you can see where we're coming from with that on Google.
Yeah, Entropy did seem very much aware of knowing to look for winning rounds. We saw it in that first one, stopping the plant, going for that kill on the planet specifically. We saw that there, that they got those opening picks, but then they were more than happy to just put the brakes on, move back, hold those angles, actually use that man advantage, which is something we just simply didn't really see in those previous matches. We saw teams getting a little bit over-aggressive with that man advantage, and they paid for it, but Entropy, that sort of almost veteran mentality, they realised that there's no point in having a good start to a round if you aren't going to finish it and win it. So Entropy just doing a very good job of this, getting good starts, but also securing these rounds.
They're doing an excellent job of it. We can't take them down off that at all. And you know, aside of MVG, they're also putting up an extremely good fight. It's just they need to watch that time just a little bit more, as that would be kind of one of the main concerning issues that they seem to be kind of facing at the minute. But again, as the rounds go on, we're still only 3-0. It's, you know, it's still early days of the rounds. Those are little things that can be improved on, and, you know, as we're moving into kind of more so the tertiary sites, it will be something that they can chip away at.
Yeah, we're seeing once again this library hold, and once again, there's actually no Capital to really deal with it, and I would honestly expect a Capital being brought as well with that Warden ban, but nevertheless, they're still having to sort of poke and prod from the outside. Nades are likely going to be thrown in from that balcony into the library positions, but there's actually no one playing deep in there. They're playing much more relaxed, playing from that fireplace balcony position, playing from library stairs as well, because they know that they are going to eventually fall victim to that utility. So they're playing in these much more defended positions that still stall the attackers out. As here we see MVG trying to clear the shield. Labor Cookins at Flores drone does hit the mark. Presume, yep, ADS down as well, and suddenly that puts Yuki's position a lot more at risk. There's nothing to stop a nade there, so he's actually taking a very big risk staying in its position, as is Vassi making that rotate, because the attackers are all over them, really. They have this control through the window. They likely have control from the library corridor. Yep, you see that. They are very much waiting to start this push, but, well, I was going to say this bit of silence, but Zello finds a lovely 2-piece in Fireplace.
Aware there of his position as Ellis was taking a lot of damage, he was also getting fragged out by Yuki. And we're still on a 3 versus 4 situation here, as of now, probably go into a 2 versus 4. Make that a 1 versus 4 as a flurry of kills comes out here for the side of MVG, and it's all down to Bakto here, as Leverhahn is going to take him down with a headshot, and a very, very switch round to him coming out from MVG, and a lot stronger of a round coming into the gaming area.
Yeah, they've really just had pressure from all angles there, and when you add on to that Zello's wonderful 2K in Fireplace, it really sort of made Entropy almost panic a bit. They couldn't really focus on all the angles they wanted to, losing those 2 bodies, and that just led to MVG pouncing on the opportunity. So really good job from MVG there. They managed to stay in this game. They get that 1 round on the board. They can still get an even half here if they win these next 2, but just a really fantastic job identifying the exact point, really, where Entropy's defense becomes drastically weaker. Also, just you got to commend Zello there, making that heads-up play, taking those 2 gunfights that didn't particularly sort of favor him at all, but he just had faith in the guns. The team had faith in him as well, and that's something we like to see. Zello alone on his heroics just sort of wins them that round, but you can't really discount the other sort of efforts from MVG.
Yeah, you know, it is a team game at the end of the day. Zello did come in and, you know, hit with an absolute screamer of hitting 2 of them and taking, you know, man count very early on. But then you had the rest of MVG coming in just to wipe up after him, to clear out the rest of the members, because after all, he get taken out after getting those 2 pieces. So, you know, it is a team game and they executed that perfectly. It's definitely a lot stronger rounds than we've seen them previously. Time was not a struggle from there. That's a great thing that see that they've actually adjusted, that, you know, that wasn't a struggling factor for them. So coming into this game, if we can kind of see the same pace from MVG, I could easily see a 3-3 split here on this game going the full 9 yards.
Yeah, certainly. This could definitely be the start that MVG come back here. They're going to be defending, attacking on this second floor site, and this was a sort of situation that seemed to be favouring MVG there. They stalled out a little bit. Once they cleared out Vasi on those solarium stairs, they actually looked fairly well until it came down to just those last 30 seconds and the gunfights just slipped away from him. This time, Vasi is not going to be on those stairs yet. He's playing a little bit more aggressive on Trophy here, maybe even going to try and catch an attacker on drones. He could potentially even be met with it, but it's actually Yuki and Pistol getting 2 on the opposite side of the map on that library side. I don't know if that was a part of the split push being taken down immediately, but that's a critical blow for MVG. They're now thoroughly in the lead in this round.
Double kill, definitely putting the foothold in the round here and definitely made the opener, as the work here is going to be a lot more difficult for all of these attackers. As you know, you've lost 2 major attackers down. You know, that's 2 guns off the board as well. Yes, you're not losing your hard breachers, but still, you're still losing potential gunfights that, you know, really, with a minute 40 on the clock, you shouldn't really have this man down, to be honest. But still, walls are going to get breached, but they're going to get shot off. And the round has kind of come to a bit of a standstill here, as, you know, the players on MVG are kind of just have to repick themselves back up and recalculate where they have left and, you know, try coming back with something after losing members very early on. I would say that, though, with Best finding it beautiful onto Shinji, as it's supposed for a little impact onto the wall, but is going to get caught out as the ref is just a little bit faster and he just get caught off there.
A big thing here, though, is those 2 roamers who got the first 2 kills. They're actually barricaded away from the site, so if MVG sort of sees the initiative now, it could actually be a sort of man advantage favor for them on the actual site itself, but they still have to make it past Vasi just on the top of these west main stairs. The P90 is certainly a strong weapon here, as he's looking to take this gunfight. Pre-fight goes off into the camera, and Fesk has no idea the Solus is playing there, and that really seals around for MVG. Now, only 2 members left alive. The position of 1 is known in that trophy position. Vasi is looking to get another on the round, and he does. Meets the final 1 on the sliding stairs. Damage is dealt, but Zello, he's not well. Position known, takes out 1, takes out 2, but Botcher cleans him up, and that is a 4th round for Entropy.
Again, another very well executed round for Entropy. Getting those double back up at the very start of the round really started that game off for them. And after that, it just looked like MVG were just trying to recalculate, couldn't get the reroute done, and everything just kind of slipped away. Yes, you didn't lose any kind of major droppers, your hard breachers, etc., ones with nades, but still you're losing 2 players that can frag. Not an ideal situation to find yourself in, and potentially we could be going to see a 4-2 split here if MVG can't claw themselves back around, but things are not looking the greatest at the minute.
Yeah, the board gaming attack previously for MVG was very good. It actually got them their first round on the board, but Vaughn way back in round 1 was sort of a different story. They just fumbled at the end. They still had a very good early round both times. They just really need to focus on their execute. But the roam play was good. The aggression was good from MVG last time, so a 4-2 is looking very likely. We're seeing, I believe, the same lineups. We're seeing that Gridlock being brought again, which still sort of confuses me. I'm going to say that Flores is brought instead, as is Nomad, so there is still going to be that flank watch, and finally, Best picks that Capital. That should, in theory, make clearing some of these positions a lot easier, because I don't know if the call was made there, but there is no Wamai on the defense, so there's nothing that can stop those Kappa teleports. That could potentially massively speed up this clear on both the library and the library stairs, because once that fireball comes out, there's nothing you can do. You have to basically run, and that tends to involve dropping the hatch and getting back to site.
You know, the fireballs go out, it puts you under an immense sense of pressure, and generally, Blair will kind of turn to tunnel vision in those situations, also then putting the hatch at a greater risk. And if you coordinate teams, you can risk playing that risk and just kind of catch anyone that is trying to escape off guard, which definitely would be kind of a good option for here, and especially as you mentioned, the one line cannot be played, so bringing the captain out here is an absolute essential to pick. And again, Flores on the board. We love to see the Flores being played. Strong operator that can clear so much utility without that much risk. You know, obviously the drones can get shot, you can stop it, etc. But it's just such a solid operator to bring and so versatile in situations. It's kind of a no-brainer not to bring the Flores at this point. You know, you can make it work in any situation. But in the meantime, Pistol is also going to fall. That's going to be your move. With still 2 minutes on the clock, so this round is starting to look a little bit better here for side MVG, as they have a good solid attack here onto the Barra Gaming area that time. Hopefully we can kind of see a replica of that again.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting sort of development for this entropy defense. Usually they would go for this sort of very sort of focused defense around that library, around the site, but with that, maybe due to the loss of the Wamai here, they've actually gone for a sort of extended roam, and Pistol ends up losing his life, and even worse now, there's little defense of these positions. Vasi on that mezzanine position, Yuki as well on library stairs. A single hammer that fireball could dislodge either of them, but Yuki instead takes on Zello, the hero of that previous attack, the one that won them this site, but he can't be here any longer. He died on that ace. I believe a bit of hard reach may have been used. First, he's rotated all the way around to that window. He could still find a lot of value with these gadgets, blocking out sight lines, clearing out positions, but it's not only up to him, the rest of these players have to do their job, clearing out the defenders on that second floor. Banquist takes a fight on library stairs, just misses Yuki's head as flashbangs come in. I'm sensing a jump in is going to occur, but no. Banquist is just taking his time, playing it slow, as Shinji is the one to actually jump in, and I believe library is now totally evacuated, so MVG have that upstairs control. They don't have control thoroughly of library stairs, though, as Yuki just narrowly avoids a gunfight here. Best gets another, and Yuki's caught. Lakin gets shut down by Banquist. A 2 versus 4 now. Entropy looking to concede a second round in this map with Bocho trapped behind this mirror window by the powered up fireball, but he peeks into it, gets a pick on the Banquist. Vasi as well gets another 2 versus 2. This is actually very, very doable for the side of Entropy. Patch drops is noticed, seen through the mirror window. One player goes down by Fest. It's all the Bocho 1 versus 2. He's got the angles to help him here to deny the plan. Shinji pushes in Fest. He has to stick this diffuser now. Bocho has the secondary shotgun. Can he secure it in time? Yes, he can, just barely, but he still gets it done. Fantastic job from Bocho there in the 1 versus 2. And Entropy, they claw back a 5th. As I believe my co-caster is preoccupied. It slightly scared me, I will admit, in that round, but nevertheless, we still got a match to play. 5-1, and unfortunately, it's looking like another one-sided affair. We wanted a close matchup, and while some of these rounds have sort of, they've come down to the wire at points, both of those bar gaming rounds specifically for the defense, Entropy consistently end up on top. So now MVG have got a sort of Herculean effort ahead of them, because the attacking side traditionally is favored on Charlotte. Obviously, recent meta changes, we haven't really got a wealth of tier 1 matchups to sort of establish a meta here, so we're very much, everything's still a sort of guessing game almost, but Chalet, it certainly does tend to favor it does favor the attack. You have a lot of angles you can get for free. There's so many windows that could have vital points. So Entropy, they are certainly favored going into this round, but we're seeing a bar gaming defense here. Why am I being brought? Pulse as well. That's a new addition to this match. I haven't seen Entropy touch the Pulse previously, and for good reason. There's not a lot of safe spots to really play here, to be honest. Vertical control, I guess you're going to be having him playing in the objective, and listen, I'm waffling along. I believe I am joined once again by Ari.
that round was this game has been such on fire. My smoke alarm went off. It was that. The game is so spicy. Smoke alarm went off. It's that bit of a gameplay. But we're back now. Hopefully we'll have no more beeps going off randomly.
Terrified me.
I do apologize.
That terrified me.
I slapped the mic as quick as I could to get the volume to stop, but unfortunately I think we still caught a little bit of the beep on the mic. But unfortunately, we move along. That's just our warning to let you know about the fiery matchup. So as we crack on here now, as we have a 5-1 split on our hands again, we're in a bit of deja vu here, Pooble. We're seeing this all night. What's happening?
Yeah, teams are just failing, specifically on the actual favoured sites. As I was just saying, attack favoured here, but MBG just couldn't really put up the numbers. As Shishi, he's getting droned in so close to site. This could be crucial. There's no one really here, not even a mirror window watching him. As he crawls at the library stairs, but now the position is known and he gets cut down, perhaps trying to bite off a little bit too much more than he could chew. Could have just gone into site, try to clear that out. Wants to try and clear that rover bug, instead and he gets taken down, as does Pistol by Fest. I think on a very long roam here, so Entropy, they've really been caught off guard.
Entropy kind of caught slacking just a little bit there, as you know. The drone game was good, and they got so aggressive. Like I said, Fest going to find himself another one in the round. They're going to be left here on a 2 versus 5 situation with a minute 40 on the clock. These rounds are just at such a high rate. They're not slow. They're high rate of aggression. A little bit more aggressive again as those flashbangs are coming through the window. Shinji just holding the angle there with the shotgun, just waiting with love and arms for anyone who would like to give him just a little kiss from around the corner. But that is not going to happen, unfortunately. It's just a little bit of stalemate here with the 2 players. As Fest fires the shot through, lands the shot into the shoulders of Rocho, but not enough to take him down. Still have a minute 10 on the clock here as a little bit of a flank comes in here for Vasi. Should be able to find one. Is able to take the Fest, and now that'll see the command count slowly just chip away here. As Entropy have pulled themselves back a little, but still the round count is fully in their favour. MBG coming back a little bit stronger here as they set their defenses.
I was going to say this round is so much almost a formality now, but the attackers are actually bringing it back. Vasi takes down Banquist, and suddenly this isn't as much of a done deal as we thought. Butcher now facing that mute with a shotgun as Shinji gets that kill, and now truly this seems like a win for the defense. It's Vasi alone in the 1 versus 3. Doesn't manage to take down Shinji on the library stairs, in fact gets taken down himself. And that's, you know, a second round for MVG, so they're starting to maybe build a bit of momentum here. They've certainly looked very confident on that defense, but questions sort of have to be asked for Entropy. The Ash play there wasn't particularly the best. They had sort of free reign on site just to cause a lot of chaos, a lot of pressure, but instead they go in direct vision of a camera and it all kind of falls apart from there.
Yeah, everything kind of just slowly chipped away, and, you know, it's great to see MVG kind of, you know, they were down 5-1. Things are not looking the greatest for them. They struggled pretty much through their whole of their attacks, but then they come into defense and they just kind of slap Entropy that short of a powerful round. You know, they were getting aggressive. They weren't holding angles. They weren't kind of playing crossfires. They were making sure they were getting up and close of Entropy and really forcing them to take in front of expecting that to happen. They thought they were going to play the and that seems to have caught them off guard. Hopefully they can kind of rinse and repeat that situation without Entropy kind of catching on too well. But Entropy are definitely going to be somewhat aware of that kind of playstyle now. I can't see it working as well as it has been.
Yeah, we're heading on to the second floor site now. We're seeing the gridlock again, so sort of a constant in this matchup almost. The team's clearly seeing value in those EMPs and the sort of flank watchability, but Brava being brought here, particularly interesting. Yuki on the operator. They're likely going to be trying to hack out that fireplace cam, I would imagine, but I don't really see what else. Potentially the Capcan traps, but that very much seems like a sort of gimmicky thing that you wouldn't really get away with as yet. The fireplace cam is indeed that first target, but it's going to be spotted by Labor Cooking on that Solace. It's going to be halted by Zello's mute jammers as well. So really, this operator just doesn't have a lot of usage as that drone gets taken down. Yep, as I said, by Labor Cooking on the Solace. So immediately, a piece of attack utility burnt, and I'm just not sure this is the right lineup for the job.
Yeah, 100%. As the fact this one's pushing here, these Goyo canisters are already getting popped very early on. As that Goyo canister was actually popped downstairs in game, they can see, which is quite an odd place to have your Goyo canister first, unless it was placed on the hatch and the fire canister was still down. Odd place to see a Goyo canister, to say the least, unless there was some sort of a plan in place for it, potentially. Who knows?
just to stop an early rush. That's all I can really imagine.
Yeah, it's it seems to be a quite poor use of utility in my opinion, but we have to move on from it. It was a strange play as Shindy and Bankless both going to come out here taking one apiece, and Dive Entropy is going to slowly collapse as one does. Vasi finds a beautiful headshot there onto Shinji, bringing our man count just a little bit tighter up than it was, as still the players are just going to start rotating their way back to site as the slowly lurk down in the kitchen, just making ourselves a little bit more of a nuisance, waiting for this late round game to start playing in, and all the solo squad being used. Popping those gold canisters, and these gold canisters, I really want to point out, they're kind of not used really that well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with that canister, I can see why it was shot by the attackers. It not only sort of prevents it from being used later on at a more critical time, but it could potentially be used to actually flush out defenders. So, again, the glue canisters are in very odd positions. They're not going to find much usage late on in the round, I don't think, but it doesn't seem to really matter. MVG are just winning the gunfights. Vasi down all the way in the library, likely through one of those breaches. Fesk, the only member of MVG on particularly low HP, whereas the Entropy side, it isn't looking much better. Vasi incredibly low. There's not really much utility either to facilitate this push. No flashbangs, no nades. It's going to have to be heads-up gunfight as Labourcook, and he's rotated all the way back to Fireplace. I don't even think he's going. He see that there's no flankering, but the shots, they're whiffed on pistol. Nevertheless, Zeller gets one, Bankers gets another. It's all on pistol in the 1 versus 4, and I believe MVG have managed to string together 2 rounds here on their defense.
MVG coming in for defense. As something that I would say coming into half the team can play absolutely horrific going through their attack phase, but as soon as you swap to the defenses, everything can change, and that is exactly what we're seeing here with the side of MVG. They didn't have the strongest attacks, to say the least, but their defenses right now seem to be rock solid. They just can't be moved. They're getting the open frags where they're needed. They're bringing the level of aggression where it's needed. And we saw Levercook, and he was just able to sit down, in the Fireplace area, uncontested with Solus, which was kind of, the time was so short for side of Entropy, they had no real choice but to leave him to his own devices and not even attempt to pressure him.
Yeah, and because of that gadget, he felt the confidence to actually go and commit to that flank, because he sees there's no flank drones watching him at all. It just gives him total freedom, and although he had whiffed those shots, the sort of chaos, the brief moment of uncertainty caused by him there, the rest of the members of MVG pounced the opportunity. So another good round from MVG there. The comeback certainly sounds like more of a reality, but now they have to defend kitchen, dining here, and likely going to require, an extension upstairs. We see the rotates being made by Shinji on that mute. Fesk as well, investing a lot of utility here. No Wamai again, so potentially a Capital could be used here, but I doubt it, considering just right now the position to be clear. Mira is going to be a big sticking point here that would likely require something likely haste to deal with us. It's going to be locking down a lot of angles through that trophy wall, through that dining wall as well. Overall, it's a very strong setup here that is designed to waste time, specifically with things like the castle, like the Mira.
Quite a lot of things here now that need to be dealt with. Not seeing the Flores being played. Again, in my opinion, it's an interest. It's not bringing the Flores. You're not really putting yourself at any disadvantage when you do bring him, and especially when the attacking team, or the defending team, I should say, is bringing a castle, and especially the Azami. Azami, with the bait that she's in, obviously he needs a nerf. We can all agree on that one. So not bringing a Flores to even deal with that partial sense of utility it's quite an underwhelming kind of decision from the side here of Entropy. And, I know you kind of want to plan around just in case the Flores ever does get banned, because, at times he will get taken out, but as we say that, Shinji's going to get up in aggressive and into Fesk's face, takes him down as that Jaeger is going to fall, and that's going to be the man count, but it's going to be Shinji here waiting with open arms with a shotgun if the Ash looks to get a little more aggressive, as I don't think that's going to be the case. It looks like we've just entered a little bit of a stalemate here. Just a little bit of a battle here. Doesn't seem to want to keep anyone. This shotgun though is still waiting with love and arms here. Do you reckon we're going to see just a little bit of a kiss here from the shotgun?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just still baffled there. There's such a heavy utility investment in Piano, but no one actively watching it, and Shushi gets away with essentially a freebie on defense. There's a lot of map control given. The bullet camera is there, and the distraction of the castle barricade is all Shishi needs to push in the bathroom, catch the meat completely off guard. That's Shinji down. Banquet's position now known on that fireplace stairs, just falling victim to a variety of flankage there. It's Zello now on the Slaying stairs, but once again baited by something else. Doesn't have his gun up, and Shishi gets his third on the round now, potentially looking for an ace if he can catch the other two. And look at this mirror window. Luckily for the side of MVG, can't be used as really quickly takes down Shishi before he gets to it. But with total vertical control for the attack, that's going to make these last two defenders' lives a living hell.
Going to be in a dire situation here, as there's very good time on the clock, to say the least. But that's going to be left dropping down and giving up from that side. So all the pressure's going to be left here now on Banquez, who has basically got to hold off 4 members here of the side of Entropy. As that breaches are getting open, those air jabs are going to get hit. Straights here for the side of MVG, as they have a lot to pick up, but there's still quite a short amount of time on the clock, as Vasi is going to find another one onto the left hook, and it's all going down to the Banquez, who has to try and find the person who's planting. Can he find the shot? It's a 3 versus 1 situation. That user is now going to get back up by pistol, and he's going to have to get this down. If a lucky shot here through these floorboards could find this person on the diffuser, and the hatch drop's going to come out fast. Find the final one on Banquez. And that round was it was a tough one. It was a tough one.
It very much seemed like that was a setup that gave the attack a lot of leeway there. Shishi was able to get in for free in office, no resistance in piano, gets a kill in the Jaeger, and then from there was a lot of smart, strategic sort of team decisions that enabled Shishi to get those other two. You had the punches on the castle barricade that just completely diverted the attention from the mute. Potentially he wanted to try and get a freebie through that window, but just as it's about to break, Shishi swings, gets that pick. Shishi's then getting droned in. The player on Solarium stairs goes for the drone. Shishi swings, gets another. He's so good at being able to just win these gunfights without the defenders even having their guns pointed at him. This incredible team play meant to be there. And then on top of that, you have the constant flank denial there from those gridlocks, from those nomads, both being brought together to just give up a big warning whenever a flank was coming in. I like the play from Labor Cooking just to drop that hack when everything was going just awful on site, try and get a flank, get a few picks. But he's instantly known that the nomad air jab gives away position, the trap stingers as well. It's always a lot of smart utility usage inside of Entropy, and it puts them on match point.
Phase back onto what you mentioned, the gridlock on the nomad. You know, gridlock is see that often. You know, it's one of those operators that she kind of slept on a little. You know, she's quite underrated in my opinion. She can be good in first situation. But when you put the and combine together, you know, you have the cracks and the air jabs down, we saw the full potential of what they can bring. As you know, for once you're throwing the defender kind of every way, but then you're also throwing them back onto the tracks as well. So you're taking a little bit of damage, slowing them down, and just making that little bit more noise to alert the attackers as well. So combining all of those together, it's just one hell of a way to stop your anti-flanks.
Yeah, coming on to this round, it's a bar-gaming defense, but once again, defenders are getting very aggressive. Botcho takes on Banquist, and Shinji, he is deep around that Slayer's position. Fesk as well in West Main. There's a very extended roam. Zello as well, actually. There's only one near that bar-gaming site. The defender's getting so aggressive, and it seems to have made a briefly Fesk, even that man count, but now he has to deal with the player outside, so the attack, they're doing a good job at boxing off these defenders, even if they've lost that nomad. Vasi's getting very aggressive on the Solarium stairs. The player on the rappel offering a bit of cover as well, but Shinji, in such a close angle, surely the shotgun will make just mincemeat of anyone who wants to approach him. That being said, he has the SMG-11 out, maybe waiting for a drone, as Yuki actually ends up getting taken down by Fest, and the defenders of MVG once again in the driver's seat.
Taking the driver's seat so often doesn't matter. I think you've also got to find one though on the player. Shishi. This game it's going back and forth so often. It's generally hard to tell who's going to win this. I know it's a scoreline and it's all pretty much in favour of Entropy to win this, but that's going to be a tray coming out with that head, and that was an absolute shot and a half there from Shinji with that SMG-11. That is something for the clip reel for Shinji 100%. But it's all going to be left on Entropy has it all to win for, as they are still on match point. It's 1 versus 3. And he's got a lot of time on the clock here to work with. You know, there's still a lot of work he has to do himself here. He's still got some of the Selmas. But this is a winnable situation as Fesk is quite low in HP as well.
It's very winnable if he can isolate the 1v1s. He did a good start, taking out Labor Cooking behind that window, getting a little bit too aggressive. Library stairs are going to be a point of contention as well as Library itself. It's going to have to be all on this clear. Pistol gets damaged for what from that window. It's broken, I believe, as fast rotates around, gets picked from the fireplace. So another round for MVG, and it's suddenly becoming a lot closer than it seemed. Entropy letting rounds slip away, the aggression just not being adequately met, as we're now onto round 11.
Still on match point, and from what a game that seemed absolute dire straits, as it was a 5-1 coming into the second half. 6-4, we're looking like this game could potentially go to overtime if MVG can keep up this momentum that they have been bringing so far. Their defenses are looking just incredibly, just well strategized and just precisely pieced together. That side of Entropy, they're struggling to find their entry points into the rounds here most of the time.
Yeah, it is just a case of the aggression at the end of the day. They can't find a way in because there's constantly a gun pointing at them. We praised them at points for their drone work, but it's just not present in that last round. But they've got plenty of time to learn here. There's 2 rounds left in regulation. If they can just effectively sort of drone these entries in, I thoroughly believe Entropy can take it in this round. They have shown to have that sort of superior gun skill. They've shown to have that superior usage, and with Bastion that could potentially speed up these roam clears massively, get a lot more information on the side of Entropy. But he chooses Fiana favouring the nades here as well. They had to have at least one set of nades. Yuki swapping off the Fiana onto the Twitch, so there's still a lot of vertical play potentially here. But MVG, they've also been more than happy to roam on that ground floor. Labor cooking specifically on the Solus, who see best down there as well on the Flamline and Diamond. So it's going to be a difficult job dislodging all these defenders, especially with all the utility they have to deal with.
That we saw the side of MVG going up here as well. Left with one device down in the lobby area. Not ideal. But that run out's going to come out, and that's going to be the Solus using the gadget to find there on cams, and that's going to be pistol falling early. That's also your ace taken off the board. That's your only hard breacher. This round has now gone from difficult to insane. This is going to be. This surely will translate now into an MVG round. You've lost your only source of hard breach, which would be your main kingpin for around. There's not a whole lot you can do on this site without the hardpoint. As I said, Shinji got the point in that head on Shishi, and that's going to be another player falling. And now we're looking down the barrel here of a potential overtime, as Yuki's also going to find level cooking, and that's going to be the Solus taking them, which is a crucial operator to take off the board.
I mean, I think if there is one message we can kind of take away from this map, it is you should ban Solus. There's certainly been some sort of target bans here with the 1.5 times sweeps onto Warden, onto Mozzie. But that has allowed the Solus players to just run around freely and just terrorize the attack on what should be an attacker-favored map. Maybe we can find a decent bit of value there. Obviously, taking that pistol is huge for the round, even if he does eventually get traded himself. No hard breach on the side of Entropy is really going to just stall this attack out entirely. Meanwhile, Entropy as well on their defensive paths, if you just cast your minds back, we're using that Solus incredibly well also. So really, this kind of seems like a matchup that was severely impacted by that ban phase, as these powerful operators like Solus, like what even Katana, have had a lot of a high impact in this round. And Entropy still, they're just left trying to scramble for anything without a proper breach of the site. They're gonna have to take these other fights, and they lose them. Shinji gets 3 on the round, and it's all to Yuki alone on that double window repel. Shinji getting very aggressive, once again 4th on the round. Narrowly misses Yuki as he sends that repel, but still, he's got no way to actually win this round. He's caught alone outside, potentially going all the way down to the car garage or onto Solarium Repel, but wherever he goes, his position will be noted. The 4 men on the defense, there's just nothing he can do.
All he can really do here is pay attention. I will say that he gets slapped with the C4 at round 1 right out. So you can get a chance to let the team have a chat just to see what they want to do. Before sends him straight to the grave. Go now to full 9 yards anyway, full-time regulations. Are we looking down the barrel of a match of a overtime here, Poogle?
Potentially. I mean, it certainly didn't look likely beforehand, but MVG have done a fantastic job on this defense, partly due to that Solus, to their aggression as well specifically. They've just not been deterred at all by that first half, and it's produced wonderful results here. I mean, maybe that first half was just down to nerves, to facing Entropy, but those nerves have clearly gone as they are now just hitting their shots, doing incredibly well. But the sort of silver line for Entropy is they're still on 6. If they win this, they will get that full 3 points. If not, however, we go to overtime. They've still got 1 point out of this, but if you're the champions, we don't want that. You want to be winning these matches. You don't want to be going in a sort of poor seed in that Swiss stage, because you'll go against more difficult opponents, and that could potentially end your tournament run early before you even get those fabled playoffs that Entropy have been so strong with. So they really need to win this round, get those 3 points out, because they've still got a loss in this group. They lost to MDF match 1. So they're still sort of in that mid-table. They need to really get points to get that big seed. Right now they're going into a dining kitchen defense here, another very sort of extended room up on the top floor, holding office, holding even cross mats on mezzanine as well. They're going to have a lot of ground to clear, a lot of utility defense. It's going to certainly be a difficult task here.
Going to be a difficult one here from Entropy. I think really what we need to see from Entropy here is a level of high aggression that's well coordinated. We need to see them all kind of stacking up and getting aggressive. I saw the round where it was the Ash that was just walking her way again up, getting those kills. We saw the Jaeger falling early on when that happened. And that was a round that very easily converted over to Entropy's side. If we kind of see kind of a sim round coming out from them again, I can see them taking this quite easily. But it just looks like they're kind of stalling out a lot of these rounds that could have gone a little bit faster if, they had, kind of stacked a bit more and had a little bit more drone game. But that's not what we're going to see here, as, again, the Ash has already gained ground, the drones are going ahead. But there's not really much happening. Everyone kind of seems to be stalling out. We're not seeing the level of aggression that we've seen from previous rounds. It's, this is looking like they can go way before the round even begins.
And a big thing here, this is, I believe, the one round we've seen Gridlock use those smokers of the EMPs, and now Entropy seemingly have no way to get in that office wall. It's thoroughly shocked. They've got the ace in position, but there's no way to deal with those electro floors because of that positioning. You can't go for a vertical mate. You're going to have to, at best, try and shoot through the floor, which exposes you to numerous angles. And all this gives Shinji so much freedom to hold this position with the shotgun with the SMG-11. He slowly rotates out of there, but that's half a minute wasted for just no gunfights at all. Just Entropy staring at a wall that is electrified has wasted so much time. They finally get it open and they can start to push up on this top floor. But remember, that's not the site, and with Vasi going down, it's looking incredibly difficult for Entropy to convert this round. Leberkuchen gets another 5 versus 3, make it a 4 versus 3. Yuki gets 1, but Leberkuchen and Shinji are still upstairs. There's still going to be a menace to this attack. Shinji gets another 2 versus 4. Entropy they're just crumbling at the final hurdle.
5-1. It's going to also fall to watch out. The game is going so back and forth. I cannot tell you who's going to win this group, but I am sensing an overtime coming in here real quick.
There's only one on site.
Members, there's only one on site, so a collapse could happen here. If these drones come out and they can get the site, not going through, and a lot of damage taken on the bottom, and people are going to still two wait, now one off pistol, and it's all going over down left the hands here. Also, we have quite a lot of work to do with barely stop. Fire through the wall, we have to breach, and this looks like we're going straight for overtime. As indeed we are, and we're going to best sending us to overtime. Full regulation complete. Let's head to overtime.
Watch to execute there, really, from Entropy. I really like the strategy there. You identify the heavy upstairs hold. Naturally, of course, there's only 3 players alive there, which means they're going to be lacking on site. You place that breach charge down, you immediately have a big, wide ingress to get into site to take that swing. But the breaching charge was seemingly detonated late, and by the time they were going to detonate it, it was shot off. The nitro comes out, the ace is killed, and it all sort of goes wrong there. That was their one sort of last hope to win it in regulation that was sadly snatched from them. Now, the good thing for MVG here especially is they can continue to go on this defense. They can stay on by far the most favored side, 5-1 both halves. They're going to kitchen dining again. Likely going to see a similar setup there. I would imagine, yep. You see Entropy thoroughly just prioritizing getting the MPs forward. You see Cheeky likely the platforms or attempting the smokes that they originally brought that Grimlock for. But the main thing there, Vasi on the Thatcher. They want to get that wall open as quickly as possible because last time that wasted over half the round just breaching a single wall.
Wrong to get that wall open. Maybe and nail down. But one thing to point out side of MVG on defense. They have just had an absolute stormer on defense. As you know, it's typically not that common that we see Charlotte Young such a heavy defensive side of the map. But this game, we've pretty much seen both times on defense being winning 5 rounds consistently. So if I was MVG, I'd be quite happy with how that this has worked out on my side. Potentially find a flag if he's aware of his attack. He's going to through as that run out potential as C4 is going to get swung. Not going to do anything as C4 is just going to get picked back up, back to pocket, using around. And the rounds are being quite stalled from the side of Entropy. They're not looking to try to get their, they're not trying to get in the map too quickly, which is a good thing and a bad thing for them at the same time, as the rounds we've seen them get in quick and kind of get aggressive, they have converted to round wins. So a little more aggression probably would be ideal to see here from the side of Entropy.
And the big thing there is we just saw a little slip up. Entropy didn't take out that default cam and they nearly paid for it, but Banquist, he's going to make them pay anyway with that just fantastic opening pick on the library, completely shutting down that brief burst of aggression from Yuki there. And once again, I fear we're just going to see Entropy stall out here. Their one entry has failed, and now the rest of the team just often seemingly don't know what to do. We're seeing a lot of attention on the office wall. Thatcher and Ace going to be breaching that open, but once again, we're still only at that half-minute mark. They've wasted so much time, and even worse, this time they've actually lost the body. Blind nades come out onto the trophy floor, onto that kitchen floor as well, as Shishi gets taken down as well. And Entropy, their woes are just continuing on the attack despite getting the breach open on site. They just can't win any of these gunfights.
It just seems that the mental game has been lost here on the side of Entropy. The side of MVG, they weren't great. They came back to the defense extremely hard and very heavy hitting defense. But just like Entropy, they lost the mental game here. They lost a couple of rounds and they just haven't been able to claw themselves back since. They've had a couple of rounds comfortable here and there, but as I say, that led is also going to find one to Vasily being the absolute MVP here for the side of Entropy so far. And losing him very early, not going to be amazing either, especially as it's going to do Banquist finding one at the botcho. All down to a 1 versus 3 situation here, as Pistol has everything on his shoulders here to try and pull a round together for the side of Entropy. Not much time here to work with either, Google.
Not much time, a shield, it's an MVG round written all over it. Pistol can at least get one here, bring it to a 1 versus 2. But there's no time, and the diffuser, I believe, is being watched through that breach. Yep. Pistol's going to have to win a gunfight here just to pick up that case, and even then, he likely won't be able to actually put it down. The defenders just need to stay hidden. Banquist gets another on the round, and MVG, for the first time, they managed to get onto match point.
What a game we're seeing from MVG. We have to give them major props here. But being 5-1 down to pull this back to what could potentially be an 8-6 win, you've got to give them major credit here. They've put everything they have into this game. And it's shown, the defenses have been quite literally insane to say the least. As we have the scoreboard there, you can see all of those defense rounds pretty much always siding to the defense team. The attackers winning the occasional ones, but it's quite rare. So can MVG be the team to break the cycle of winning an attack, or will it continue on and bring us to the full 9 yards, giving us all the overtime that we have ever desired?
I just think all of the momentum is rolling in the way of MVG here. So despite them being on that attack, the side that has only won 2 rounds in the map so far, I just think they're going to roll it. They're going to sort of snatch this at the final row. They're going to win 8-6. I doubt Entropy can muster enough to really put up around here. That being said, though, they are the double champs for a reason. They have consistently shown that strong mindset, so we could still see a max OT here. They're going to be going to that bedroom site, so we're going to likely see an extension here throughout sort of library, and even some attention perhaps down below as well with Vasily, the top fragger, as you were saying, on that Solace. He is really going to be the thing that dictates this round. Gets 1 burn, it's a nice bit of utility burn, only 2 survive the prep phase for MVG here. So Vasily could still cause a lot of chaos down below, but even he seems to have lost a bit of confidence. He's just going back to Slight and Entropy. They just seem shook here.
They don't seem collected as they have been. They started off great in the attack. Even though Vasily wanted to get aggressive, he was taking those gunfights, he was taking down players, he was doing really well. And then the game kind of slipped away from him, and that confidence slipped. It seems like not only has he lost confidence in his own gun skill, both teams have a lot of confidence in themselves essentially as we move in, as they just basically let the side of MVG mentally walk all over them essentially is what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's just a mental game, really. We saw a shift in MVG. They were just fantastic on their defenses. They looked a completely separate unit, really, with that confidence. But Angela just haven't really been able to respond to that at all. Vassy is going to be a little bit of a sticking point in the library here. Get confirmation with that Fenrir gadget, but Vanquish, he's already dealt enough damage, taken out Shishi now. 8 and 12 on the Wamai, that could potentially be the final stats for the match. But Yuki, he's going for this flank on the garage stairs. No flank watch operators being brought by MVG this time, so he could potentially get away with one. Banquez as well on low health, and indeed he does. Yuki takes out Banquez, the sort of half of the two bright stars for MVG. Shinji still up, Vassy as well, getting a lot of intel for MVG, so they're not out of it. They can still definitely use a lot of this information to their advantage as Shinji crawls up library stairs onto that library corridor as Vassy finally gets another one. He's still alive. He's getting a double, a triple on the round as Entropy. They've got a little bit of life left in them.
Coming back to life, which is amazing. As Winter comes out there from pistol, not going to be quite able to land the shots. That's going to be Zello finding one onto him, and that's going to be Botchos finding one right onto Zello. And that is going to be around here back for Entropy. And that's it. It all comes down to one single round. We have played 14 rounds of Siege, heading to round 15. They mean nothing anymore. Those rounds are basically null and void. Everything will land on the next 2.5 minutes of this game of Siege. How are we feeling about this unbelievable scene as MVG are going on to the defense?
Well, MVG, they are thoroughly favored here, and again, we've only seen 2 attacking rounds won. Entropy are going to have to make a third here. They're going to have to bring it up to a 20% win rate, right? Or else they're gone here. They are in a severely disadvantaged situation. They've got 1 point here, but MVG is sort of their closest rivals, I'd say, are going to edge them out on that head-to-head as well as random rivalry. So things are looking a bit bleak here for Entropy if they lose this. They're bringing in the Monty, so perhaps that is sort of solution they needed. It allows for a lot of quick aggression. It allows for a kind of safe roam clear as well, a safe way of getting a lot of information. Yuki on the Lion as well. This is clearly a sort of attacking line designed to punch out the roam as spikes rate and just take them out early. But at the same time, we still have that problem of labor cooking on the Solace. He's likely going to go uncontested in terms of utility. There's no IQ to spot him out. They're going to have to drone him out, beat him utility themselves just to get at him. Fenrir as well being brought just to isolate in the gunfights. There are just amounts of utility really opposing Entropy.
There's so much against Entropy at this very moment, again, grab MVP on defense. They've been absolutely insane on so far. Both teams have been really good on their defense, something to point out. But we're going to have to see this trend broken. The Entropy pulling something unusual that we haven't seen them bring yet, just to try and bring this into back. It's going to have to be the best round of teams we've seen all day before they look to try and take it. As you know, playing 15 rounds of Siege for it all to come down to the loss after being 5-1 up, that's going to be mentally breaking here for Entropy, and it's definitely surely hurting them already.
Yeah, Pistol is going to be taking that mezzanine position, immediately relaying that information that it's clear, but they shouldn't get too comfortable because Fest is preparing for a library stairs to find the areas all the way down in the basement, and a spray through the window, I believe, from Yuki does take down Banquez and Entropy. They're in the advantage here. If they can continue forcing the issue with that Monty, they could get a lot of map control here. The defense are going to have to start filling in the cracks formed by Banquez's demise. They have to challenge that Monty through the hole, but he can't do it. It's now spotted by the Lion. His position now known by the Monty as well. He is this key factor of this defense. He has to get it picked in his position, really, or else he will be shut down himself. Best coming for this flank all the way through Kitchen, could potentially go Fireplace, and there's no one on drones this side of Entropy. He could be huge here in this round if he's not caught.
Huge if he's not caught, but still we have those crack stingers. What's the issue with that? Go there for a second, just look for flanks. It's going to get open, and there's a lot of pressure going to come into play here. He's also going to take a little bit of damage, but Zello's also going to fall. 3 versus 3 situation. This is probably the first time the round has really opened up on an attack here for the side of Entropy, and they're looking quite strong. But Fez could be the absolute thorn in the side here if they can deal with him very, very soon. Pressure here from all the angles, as the Monty is just going to be really back to the attackers as much as possible. As there was a beautiful headshot as the Monty D shield is going to find one more, and that's going to hit him falling as well, as it's all going to be left down into a 2 versus 4 situation. The team wants a very low amount of HP, and all to do against the Monty here. The Monty D shield, beautiful flick onto the head of pistol though, and now in a 3 versus 2 situation. Sliver of HP, and the best going for a little bit of flank here on the main stairs, as it's probably Yuki falling as well. Now we're in a 2 versus 2 situation. Now Frostmat coming in an absolute clutch here, as best goes for the rotate. That person's planting, finds a head onto the planter. It's now a 1 versus 2 situation here, as Yuki is in a Frostmat, he's in the DBNO state, and it's all going to be down here for a battle. Try to find one, finds a headshot on the face. It's now a 1 versus 1 situation. That the police are down, fall on the ground, 10 seconds on the clock here, as a right is going to be attempted. Shinji is on a sliver of HP. Pooble, this game I cannot
so low, but they're not planting.
So close. They're not planting, as that freezer now should be stuck onto the ground as a swing comes up, and a headshot from Bassi as Entropy take the match. What a game of Siege. Full 15 rounds brought to the hair. We could not have got a closer game if we had tried. That is...
I mean, who else to finish that off, right? Vasi, he pulled them through round 14, kicking and screaming. He does the exact same there. The odds look so stacked against him in that final 30 seconds, but Vasi, he really was the hero Entropy needed.
I know we said at the start of this matchup, I said this is the Battle of the Titans and it would be the closest match that we'd have so far. Maybe a literal second of a hair. What a game we have just witnessed, Pooble. I think the smoke alarm was an omen in the skies. As that was an absolute fire matchup. Well, I have to repoint back to that because I do apologize to the viewers for absolutely probably blowing up your frontal cortex with the beeping, but that happens unfortunately. But that leaves us here for the game today. That was what a game we had. What a game. What a nice game to finish on, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, Entropy, they've continued their there's now a 2-match win streak, I suppose, in groups, but once again, they've shown that they aren't invulnerable. They can bleed, that the champions are weak at the moment, and that I'm sure a lot of teams in this group are now jumping at the chance to face them going on from this. There's a wealth of VODs to sort of experience, to watch now and gain a little bit of sort of intel on the way Entropy play, because weaknesses were exposed there, and it was really up to the individual heroics of Vasi that won them that. Without him, you know, MVG likely win that 8-6. They likely go on to just continue that streak of round wins, but it was Vasi, just the sole sort of member there. And obviously it's a team game, and there was effort from a variety of members applying pressure, using utility to get Vasi in those positions, but it was the gun skill from that player that brought them, that gave them that win, essentially. So he really is the MVP of that map.
100%. And, you know, it was dire situations, but luckily, Entropy, they were able, you know, I mentioned before the start of the round, they needed to kind of pull off some heroic plays. You know, they needed something huge to really pull themselves to get this win. And they managed to pull off what was an absolute insane play. Came down to the hair. They took the win. What a game of 15 rounds. But that, Pooble, that leaves us here for tonight. We end on an absolute cracker of a game. And that'll end us here with these matchups. So thank you all for coming to the street to, you know, watch us here at ESA. I know you've been looking at me and Pooble now for quite some time, so it's probably time for you to, you know, go off, get a drink and stuff. But that is us here for tonight. So thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.